Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode. In fact, the final episode of the 23 season for Let's Be Real podcast. It's been a wild journey. Um I'm not gonna hold back, especially for today. The season started so well. The expectations were sky high. Not gonna lie, I was thinking this was gonna be one of those seasons where we truly elevate ourselves and completely return back to the pinnacle. Obviously, the Champions League win last year was a statement, but if we actually followed it through with another win, I couldn't stress it enough how much that would have meant to the legacies of quite a few men within our team. But yeah, people, before we actually kind of get into what we're going to do in this season review and how we are going to go about it, welcome our esteemed panel, Farouk, Javier, Mo, and Yadu. Tell me, boys, how are you doing?
Into
All
complete
good, all good.
silence. Into complete silence. I'll just say I've been well. I've been well. I was just waiting for the rest of the panelists to show off their knowledge and their new hopes and dreams for the next season. Yeah, man, it's been good. Missed the podcast. Missed having I don't know having people to interact to online. And whenever I have troubles, I just go and cry on the podcast. So it's I've been missing that. I have a lot of pent up sadness inside me. So hoping to
Fair
vent
enough.
today.
Fair enough. Hope
Hearing
you find
Yadu,
solace, my friend.
hearing Yadu, I realized that this is the place to be when you're depressed.
Oh,
So
absolutely,
yeah,
man. That's
yeah,
why
I'm
people
depressed.
come to us. Yes, that's the
It's
only
it's
reason
cheaper
people
than
watch us,
therapy.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, so because I'm like today is a depressing day. We say goodbye to a depressing season. So darkness all around.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
So
Right.
I think I have to be the counterpart because for me it's not a bad season.
Sure, Javier,
So
sure.
I will try to uplift the spirit of the chat and all of you apparently because I know what Farouk is gonna say. So I will try
I,
to.
I I I know what Farooq said after we won the Champions League. So
Yeah, yeah.
tonight it'll be another level.
Nah, actually,
So
no. I was gonna say actually similar to what you said, Javier. Like the point is that to build a new mansion, we have to bring down something. So it's the end of a bad season. So hopefully laying foundations. But I mean, after the announcement we got today, so it just only reinforces that that belief that next season could be something really good.
Yeah.
interesting. People who didn't really fancy Bellingham, yeah, all of a sudden on the bandwagon, yeah. Fair
It's not
enough.
about the point about it's not about, even till today. If you ask me, do I want the sign of Bellingham? I would say to 100% no, because as I've said this before over and over again, it leads to certain things that, anyways, there's no need to keep going into that. But he signed for us, so we're just gonna support him. There is nothing to do about that.
Right. Fair. Since we have kind of put away the introductory, the pleasantries. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Right. People in the chat, like, so you guys are gonna have a role to play in actually helping us decide what tier. As you see, we are using tier maker. Um, what tier a player falls into. Javier is basically the game. What do you call it? The game host? I don't know. The game
Yeah.
maker. Um,
Javier is playing
so
God.
yeah,
The
Javier is
umpire.
basically God among us. So Javier basically has to break it down for us. What different tiers are and what not. So Javier, take it away. Explain it to us. How many tiers are there and what are they called?
Okay, so we have the whole squad, even the staff included. Some of the staff I see. So the categories goes. I don't know if all of you in the chat at least once saw a tier list. So the top of the top is the S tier usually, but now it's called Bini. So you guys can probably expect who is gonna be at least one player in that tier.
Understandable
Uh,
reasons.
then yeah. Then moving down is good tier. Like a solid season, a solid player, and then we have average. Like nothing nothing special about it, nothing in any way, like nothing good, nothing bad, just average. Then we
Mm.
have a bad season, like they the guys that were disappointed, the guys that didn't show up. And then we have the hoop tier, is the bottom of the bottom, the players that didn't have any impact whatsoever, or even worse, they have a negative impact in the team. Like they took a place for someone else.
Fair
So
enough.
uh,
Before we
that's the
continue,
category.
guys, before we continue, a shout out to our listeners on Spotify first off, because we've been getting a lot of reviews and they have been pretty great. We've also been review bombed by some of rival fans. A couple of one-star ratings. So if you are new to Spotify, new to us, please leave us a rating that you think is worth it. And to the people listening on audio platforms, the tier list will be published on our stories and on our Instagram. So feel free to disagree, to pick fights with us. And if you're new to YouTube, subscribe. All right. With that public service announcement out of the way, please continue.
Also, since Yadu mentioned the Spotify bit, I've got to big up our audio listeners again. The Jude Bellingham special is I think sixth. I believe sixth on our top 10 all time most played episodes. So yeah, just the hype basically says it all. And yeah, man, again, so much gratitude for your guys' constant support. With that out of the way, um, should we have an intro to basically, should we have a briefing about how the season went for each of us, or should we just jump directly into the player ratings? What do you guys think?
For me personally, I think you should just jump directly because
We'll be touching upon
yeah,
everything. Yeah,
yeah, and I think we've already talked enough about like how bad the season was, and
100%.
only to Javier it was a good season. So
Yeah. Javier is someone who doesn't get faced. Credit to him. Credit to him. I'm not one of those guys. People already know that very well. Right. Starting with
It's only
yeah.
because I've been
Mm,
in our lowest. You guys
mm,
are, like you said, we're spoiled fans. We're spoiled chats, and having a season when we win at
mm,
least 3 trophies, three
mm,
out of 6, for me is
mm.
not a bad season. I get what all of you are saying, but bad season, come on. Probably if you
I mean,
guys
for
want,
me, it's a bad season because I you're saying that we won 3 trophies, but I think that number is inflated. Two of those three you're expected to win once you get there, and the third one, Copa del Rey, yeah, it was a good achievement. For me, the disappointment comes more from the fact that how the La Liga season went. How bad we were.
yeah,
We ended up like we almost lost the league by February. So I guess
yeah,
that is the reason why I consider it to be a bad season. Okay, yeah, we won trophies and everything. I don't expect Real Madrid to win like 6 out of 6 every year, but what I expect from Real Madrid is to fight till the end of the season. So when that's not there, that is a disappointment for me. It's not about being spoiled or anything.
It's
It's just
also
simple. We need to fight for the things, and if you're not fighting by April or May, then it's disappointing.
It's also, I guess, the way the hopes jumped off a cliff after a beautiful start of the season, and the way that it just plummeted towards the end. It's just, yeah, man. We'll get into it. We'll
I don't
get
know
into
if
it.
if you guys want, I can suggest after we rate all the players, like all of us can decide, us in the chat, we can decide where we put Real Madrid season. Like in which category will all of us put the season. You know?
That's a
Yeah,
good suggestion. We gotta actually keep it moving. Before that, big up every single one of you in the chat. Especially Optics. Like he has been with us ever since the City tie. He says, "Hey guys, it's nice to see you lot smiling. I bet you're singing 'Hey Jude' as your favorite karaoke song. Who's next? Let me guess. First name starts with K. Surname starts with M. There you go. Rajat says, big up everybody. Step up Spurs says, big up Sunaid and friends. It's not Sunaid and friends. Honestly, this is not my fans
That's
association or
the
something, you know.
branding, is it?
It's not the branding. But Rajat
Incorporated.
says, incorporated. Yeah, there you go. Rajat says, big up everybody. Want to sign Havertz. We aren't getting Kylian Mbappe, so what is our backup plan? We'll get into it. It's a long pre-season. You know, we'll have plenty of time to actually break it down. The reason why we don't jump on some random shout by a Twitter journalist and make an episode is because we clearly know our club moves different to the Premier League clubs, the teams that basically survive to just be hyped. We only act if there is a bit more credibility to what we hear, what we come across as transfer rumors and etc etc. Right. On that note, let's just get into it straight away. Thibaut, for me, as I would
You want to start with
this
the
one.
best? I thought we would start with the worst, maybe Hazard and Mariana.
No.
We'll start
We'll
just with the
That
guys,
would be
like
too easy. That would make it too
in
easy.
the top left
Okay.
corner. Like just as they show. I don't know if you
Okay.
guys.
Okay.
We'll leave the
I
mean-
coaching staff for the end, though. Let's leave the
I
Coaching
cannot-
stuff even doesn't matter. It should just be Carlo. What has Davide Ancelotti has anything to do with how we rate the season? He doesn't have much of a say. Obviously, behind the scenes, he has a say. He basically conducts our training sessions and whatnot. But it's Carlo. It ultimately lands at Carlo's desk.
And the third
But-
and last coaching staff we
Hmm.
have is Antonio Pintus. So for people who don't know,
Even
You
Pintus,
should know.
if we had a season like last year, we were singing Pintus's name for like 10 minutes straight. People can go back and watch our post match, and also the season review for 21-22. But this season, Pintus, nah, I don't think so.
And
Right,
it-
Thibaut. Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on.
with Pintus, if there is a reason that we didn't have to worry too much about injuries, it's obviously because Pintus did a proper bang up big job, especially after the World Cup season that we all have known. But we walked away scot free, more or less. And I guess, for me, that means that Pintus has done his part at least.
I look at City and how they kind of managed their season. They had so many big representatives at the World Cup as well. But yeah, man, without further ado, Thibaut for me, 100% is S tier. We need tier, but I'll leave it up with the rest of you guys to actually decide. For me, he has been up there with Vinny as our most important player. The amount of times he has had a say in big games, like I'm not going to bring up each and every single save, but I very well know when Thibaut starts and when we are basically under the cosh, trying to survive, he's the man that stands tall, stands big, has the authority, has the presence to actually command his box, be a leader from the back. Thibaut has been leading by excellence for 2-3 years running, so perfectly fine with me for him being S tier along with Vinny. But yeah, man, I'll start with Mo first. What is your take on Thibaut quickly?
I mean, you've said everything. There's nothing to say. Like, it's too easy with these guys. We already
Yeah.
know who's the best, right? In Vinny tier, we only know there's like two players maybe that we put. So yeah, Courtois, no arguments from me.
Javier.
The best goalkeeper in the world. Simple as that. So
Simple as.
yeah.
Farouk.
Yes, sir. You know, as they said, like there is nothing to discuss here. Like I think that's easy. I mean, it's the easiest, of all the picks. So like there's no need to waste time to talk about anything. I think actually talking about him is actually even a disrespect to him actually. So the less said, the better, I guess.
Yadu, if you can please explain to the chat what the tiers are, because Rajat is saying 8.5 or 8. If you can just type it out in the chat, it'll be great so that people know.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the screen share is big enough for people to see the the names of the tier.
Is
if they're on
it?
their phone.
Oh,
If they're on their phone.
yeah. Okay.
I can enhance a little
So
bit
basically,
more.
we've divided it into 5. There's S, A, B, C, D. Javier has given them custom names. So it's Winnie, good, average, bad, and who. So you can decide to put each player on the tier that you think they performed in. And you can let us know in the chat, and we'll let that impact our decisions.
Percent. So for you all again, the tiers are S, uh, good, average, bad, and who is basically D tiers, D tier, right? Rajat gave Thibaut an 8.5. XJ says Thibaut was imperial. Yado, your take, man. Thibaut.
Uh, yeah, man. There's nothing to disagree with anything anybody has said. Uh,
Mm.
Even in games where we looked shit, Thibaut was still the bright spot,
Mm.
and there's just nothing to add.
Mm.
If all the players gave 100% as much as Thibaut did, as much as he wanted to, as much as he guided us from the back, we would be having a different conversation today. But Thibaut on his part has done the most. So yeah.
XJ also says, and I still think he could have had a better season. At times, I did think that, think along the same lines as you just did, XJ. But for me, see, like I used to be a guy who used to go mad at keepers. Yeah, I've watched Iker Casillas in his time where he was kind of declining in and out of the team. Um, Keylor Navas had a couple of howlers, here and there. Um, but in general, goalkeepers really frustrated me as a spectator. But when it comes to Thibaut, I got a big up him, and kind of understand that he's a guy who rarely puts his foot wrong. Even the game that he did against Salah, you saw what happened later on. He has something about him, Thibaut. Right. Quickly on to left back. So this left back thing is kind of interesting because let's do it twice, yeah? Because we got to go with the guy who predominantly featured at left back for this season, Eduardo Camavinga. When we discuss Eduardo Camavinga, you can actually also take into account his performances in midfield as well. So it's a collective rating. It is not completely like dependent on what he did at left back, but or in midfield. It's a collective rating. So I'll start with Javier for Camavinga. Big season, for him personally. Coming off of a Champions League win, and like people clearly expected him to have more of a role this season. How do you think he fared, Javier?
Oh, I think he had a consolidating second season. Like the first season was all dazzling in the adaptation one, and the second one is when he consolidated his place in this team for the long run. So for me, if you ask me for the first part of the season, it was like somehow average because we all saw what he did last year, but after he came up for us in the left back, I think it's a good season. Uh, a good season. I would put Eduardo.
Good, yeah, good. Okay,
Yeah,
so right, so there is S, then there is good. So he's basically B tier. Yeah,
yeah.
fair enough.
Well, it
Fair
will
enough.
be A because
A,
S
yeah,
is
my bad, my bad, my bad. So A tier, A tier. Right. Quickly on to Farouk. Farouk, bro, come on. Biggest Kamavinga fan in Turkey, in Europe. You say, bro.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the thing. Like the tiers. It's like it's a B tier thing, but like considering that what the players have actually done this season, I think like okay, he's not Vini tier, but like if there's gonna be a tier in between, the B tier and the S tier thing, like he should be there actually, honestly, because I personally think that Kamavinga has, at least in my opinion, like because my fear was, is he gonna kick on, like is he gonna always remain as that, impacts of that player that will always get, the yellow card in the first 20 minutes and have to be subbed up after 15 minutes and stuff like that, you understand? So I've always, had that fear and reservation, although irrespective of what he had done last year, but in my opinion, for me, he's expected more than what I expected him to do this season. So for me, I think it's not a consolidation season, but rather a season of cementing a spot. I don't know if that's such going to be a word, you understand, or at least showing himself that I am in the discussion as well. You understand? So I believe that really Camavinga, in my opinion, and for me, I've always said it's like the way he interpreted the role of playing the left back. You understand? Much it surprised me a lot, honestly, and I kind of see why the coaches actually, because I think one thing we take for granted with Camavinga, I think, is his footballing intelligence as well. I think the man does obviously see that more than we do in training and all. So we can see that on the pitch with the way he interacts with Toni Kroos when he plays as a left back. That understanding of space, that exploitation of the space that is vacated by Kroos when Kroos drops back and like what is and what is not. So honestly, for me, this season, he's been at worst he's been good, but I think he should be a tier above that, just not that Vini level yet. So hopefully, next season he can get back to playing in the middle of the park and continue his progression as well.
8 tier, yeah, 100%. I can't disagree with anything that you said. For you to actually come up and realize how much of a stride that he has actually taken this season is credit to his persistence. I always believe that if you actually look at a squad and think, oh yeah, like he looks out of place, he doesn't have a role in the squad. What he does when given an opportunity is ultimately what makes or breaks a career, especially at a club like ours where the stakes are so high, the time is so limited. The magnifying glasses are out like every fucking minute. Camavinga has delivered absolutely for me. Yeah, a tire above Winnie is 100% justified. I'll come to you, Mo. Your thoughts on Camavinga?
Yeah, I generally agree with what Farouk said. I think he was the second best outfield player, if I may say so. When obviously I'll put it behind Karim when Karim was on the field, but the problem is that Karim wasn't on the field too much. So for me personally, I think Camavinga was the second best player because he was available, right? But Farouk always says the best ability is availability. So I think he had that, and then his performances weren't too shabby either. He played well in the defensive midfield role, especially against Liverpool. I remember he had a few nervous moments at the start. He gave the ball away for a goal, and I think even against Barcelona, he did make that mistake, in the first leg in the Copa del Rey. But as the game went on, he improved. As the season went on, he improved, and his job at the left back role. I think I wasn't too excited when initially Deschamps decided to play him there, but even in the World Cup, he defended Messi well. In the final, playing at the left back role. So for me overall, I say yeah, he's probably the A tier. Yeah, good.
100%. Yeah, like he definitely had a few dips here and there, but his overall consistency, I think, more than makes up for it. Yadu Camavinga.
I mean, if it was only considering how Camavinga played in the midfield, it would have been, as the name said, mid, would have been average. I would have rated him average, but since the World Cup, when he showed up at left back, it's been a revelation, at least for me. And just to think that he's such a young player who can be molded into that role if Real Madrid need it is definitely promising. Because we've had issues with fitness in the past from our fullbacks, be it Marcelo, be it right now Mendy, because it's been a continuing trend, and to have somebody to actually fill that role quite well is not something that I take for granted.
Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah?
Let me ask you this, Yerum. If you buy a Porsche, would you drive in a zone that is at 50? Would you drive in a zone over 50 with a Porsche? Would you buy a Porsche for a zone over 50?
But to know that I can do that it's not a bad thing, is it?
Then go and buy a Fiat, bro. If you know you want to drive in a 50, go and buy a Fiat and drive a 50.
Okay, I mean, I think that's the plan this season. But what would you have done?
Plan, yeah?
What would you have done mid-season? What would you have done mid-season?
No.
What are your options? When you don't have players who are fit enough to play there. When you have a Camavinga, you play a Camavinga. That's the only option you have. If you only have a Porsche, Farouk, and you can't afford anything else, you drive the fucking Porsche, man.
Okay, valid. What I'm saying to you is that I don't mold the Porsche to become a Fiat. You understand? Because you see that, okay, So this is the thing. Obviously, like when you need to slow down, you have to go below 50 as well. But the point is, you shouldn't now because you see that the car can slow down and then assume that okay, I always have to go at a 50. No, that's not the point. The point is go to the max. Exploit as much as you can. I mean,
This go on,
it's not his fault. It's not his fault that the Mendy decided to not give a fork at all. That's the club's fault. They should decide what they need to do about that.
Yeah,
Also
this
true.
proves the theory. Man, Farouk was a traffic policeman in his past life. There you go.
Bro,
Man knows how to, navigate that field so expertly.
Yeah, but yeah, the last line is that I rate him highly for this season for being the stopgap solution. Even if he's a Porsche, and even if he's been used as a Fiat, he's been driving well as a good Fiat, and so 8 year for me. Yeah, no arguments there. Would I have played him in midfield? Probably, yeah. But then again, I couldn't have. So
Yeah, for me personally, I think Farouk was a little bit harsh on, Mendy when he said he didn't decide to give a fuck or whatever, because I don't think it was like I wouldn't characterize it as such.
It's almost like Mendy decided
have
to
one
enjoy
job.
himself and
Yeah,
put,
it's like
You have one job.
I mean, you're talking as if he took a hammer and kept breaking his leg or something.
The point is, if I don't defend my thesis, I literally have one job. Whatever happens, I don't defend my thesis. That's the thing. So I don't finish whatever I'm finishing. How or why that happens, that's a secondary discussion, actually.
I mean, if it was in his control, he would be here, right? It's not like he purposely injured himself and made himself unavailable. So
let's not quarrel for long, yeah, because we got to review quite a few players and we're already past 25 minutes.
Couple of comments
as
too,
well.
yes, please.
Das Saliba says, our new striker just won the game for Spain. I guess it's Joselu.
Yeah.
I would be incredibly disappointed in Italy because they were leading. Right. XJ says, agreed. God cemented himself in the 11. Kamavinga. Rajat says he's under the tire of Winnie. 100%. Yuri says I feel like Kamavinga is wasted by playing left back. Yeah, the entire fucking fan base shares the same sentiment. Yuri, don't you worry. Tarun Kumar says Kamavinga, Vinny, Thibaut. I guess in that order. XJ says Kamavinga is so good that when he makes mistakes, it often doesn't even overshadow his overall performance. Even as a left back, really looking forward to much more from him in the midfield. He also says, I look at what Modric did yesterday and pray the kid will have that kind of longevity. I'll pay his salary if I have to. Seems like you're rich, XJ. Help us out, in the meanwhile as well. Right. Yeah, now you can fight if you want to. Farouk, I'll come to you for Mendy. He didn't really feature for much. In fact, did he even play for 4 months of the season? 3 months? Did he?
I mean,
Not for sure.
I don't know. I don't remember what he played for, what he didn't play for. But the point is, like, I just can't rate him, unfortunately. So that reason I'll put him as bad. You understand? Because at least I believe that if you put in some effort, you should get some, some points for trying. At least you understand. But I mean, there is him, and then there are certain people. You understand? So you can't categorize him and those certain people together. So for that reason, he goes in as bad.
100%. For guys like Mendy, to kind of save up time and make it kind of short and crisp, I'm gonna just ask one person's opinion, and I'm gonna ask the rest of the panel if they agree with it or not. If you have something to disagree with regarding Mendy, now is your time, panel.
I mean, I've already said what I disagree with Farouk about. I don't disagree with his position because I think overall he didn't contribute much this season. But I disagree when he says, that he didn't care about it, because I think it's not a matter of caring. Because if it was a matter of not caring, then Mendy wouldn't have won the Champions League last season. But
100%, 100%. Mendy is someone I have a huge soft spot for. So, to see him have a season like that wasn't easy to take. Quickly, Alaba. Who should I come to for Alaba? Javier.
Well, Alaba is almost in the same, like in the same sweet spot as Mendy, like
Mm.
with injuries, we didn't see the Alaba that we all saw. Like Alaba last season was somewhere S tier and good, and this year rating Alaba is a lot harder, but um, I will say average. Like he didn't have a bad season per se,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he didn't have anything special about it.
Mhm. I agree. Alaba for me, when he was called upon, he was pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie. Especially post his, injury struggles, like latter part of the season, like he kind of found his groove again. But for me, ultimately, what he did in 21-22 set the bar, and yeah, he kind of fell way off. Right. Anything else to add on Alaba, people?
Just that when he was there, when he was available,
Mm,
the CB partnership looked stronger than it did with
mm,
any alternatives that we had. And
mm,
for that reason, I agree with Javier. Even though he wasn't available,
mm,
it was an average season by his high standards, and the standards
mm.
are high already. So yeah, average for me.
Rajat also agrees with us. Alaba stuck him at average because he didn't play much. Yeah, Madrid TV also says been injured a lot this season. Big up Madrid TV, man. Have seen you around for years. Big up yourself. Also, quickly Militao. I think this deserves, in my opinion, S tier if we exclude the last couple of months. But since the last couple of months also is a part of part of this review, he has to be downgraded to A tier for me. If it wasn't for a shaky April May, um, he was one of, or if not the best centre back in the league alongside Araujo. Uh, so commanding. So consistent, especially with his performances, for large parts of the season. Um, I only hope, like Militao found Alaba, dealing with less fitness issues. But unfortunately for both him and Alaba, it didn't really quite click. That starting pair. Remember Mo Farouk. Last year we were actually, when Rudiger was coming in, we were kind of the notion that these guys are the ones that needs to be challenged. Rudiger has to prove himself to actually, break this Champions League, La Liga double winning centre back partnership. Um, so yeah, man, Militao for me, 8 year, nothing to scoff at. Still pretty solid season, for someone who is still not in his prime yet. In my opinion. Who should I come to? Farouk, bro, Militao.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the thing. Like Militao, actually, similar to Arab, actually, you set the bar so high, and also, he started the season, a bit okay as well. And as you said, towards the business end of the season, honestly, for some reason, for even Caro to tell him that he has to wake up at a press conference, you need to know the level of, of how much far his level has dropped, honestly. So
Mm.
because of that, for me, honestly, like I'm not gonna go with the, the good tier or like the B tier in the sense. I'm gonna go with a bit more average tier, considering the fact that
Oh,
I
holy.
try,
Okay.
I try to,
Okay.
even out to see what the season has been, because the point is, when I look at the tiers right now, I see Camavinga and Militao in the same bracket, and in my opinion, I think Camavinga was much more consistent and much more better than Militao was. So because of that, I do feel like they should not lie in the same level as well, honestly. So this is the reason why I'm gonna just downgrade Militao to average, honestly.
So
And
this is
also, like, I
interesting.
mean, this
Mm.
the thing is that, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. This season, our defense has been totally, really, really shaky, honestly. And obviously, I know continuity is an issue there. Like he's always played with different centre backs at different points. I mean, I don't think he actually even played a consistent. I think only when Alaba was injured, I think he was
Mm.
playing with Rudiger quite a lot, and even then Nacho was coming in and out. So he's not had that level of consistency to be able to form an understanding with the centre back partner. But I just feel like I wouldn't put him personally, for me, in the good tier. I will make him like an average season.
So yeah, so there is S, there is A, and then there is average. Yeah, so average for me, he's A tier clearly. This makes for a very interesting
Yeah, for me, I
debate.
think Farouk has a lot of recency bias. Yeah, he's just considering the end of the season. Because if you did this, player ratings thing in the mid-season, I don't think Militao would be that low for Farouk and Kamavinga that high. Because I think when you're judging players, you have to judge them overall. Despite the fact that Militao tailed off towards the end, you have to consider the fact that till around February, Militao was our best defender, and he was one of our best players.
Also, one of the
So
best defenders in the world, as per
yeah,
Carlo.
if I remember, yeah, Ancelotti came out and said that he's one of the best defenders in the world, and I think Militao also gave an interview after that. Probably he got a new girlfriend, and probably a little bit inflated his head and stuff. So yeah, whatever happened. But I think before that he was pretty good. So for me as well, I agree with you when you say that he was in the A tier, good tier. I wouldn't call his season average by any stretch.
Was it an
Mm.
average Militao season for Real Madrid, though? It was, right? I mean, again,
I
his
mean,
standards
I would
are
agree. The
too
ending
I don't
high.
think so.
was bad. The ending was bad, but before that, he was pretty good. You might even consider putting him like in the same tier as Courtois and Winnie towards the start of the season.
Oh,
Yeah, but
definitely.
towards the end, it was pretty horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
the way he fell off kind of puts a taint on his overall grade. Yeah, Javier, round it off.
Yeah, I think Militao is one of the few players that at what point in time we can put
Mm.
it in probably any tier. And for me, I agree with all of you in the good tier, because the highlights of the Militao we saw this season, it could be in the S tier, in the B tier, and the lowest of Militao can probably be in the bad tier. So if I keep a balance, I will say he had a better or best part of the season, like 8 months in the S good and 2 months in the average bad. So as a whole season, I would put Militao in good. Not good enough for S, but I wouldn't be that harsh and put him in average.
So yeah, like usual, Farouk, gets outvoted, but
Yeah,
it happens.
after
But
Kamavinga, the next target is Militao for Farouk.
yeah, like I think the Milan air, kind of, made Farouk change his agenda. But
I don't
Farouk
know, but
has very solid reasons.
I'm trying to just remember. Like the thing is, I mean, well, then maybe you guys, see what you see. But one thing I'm gonna say is that even before the World Cup started, like it's been really bad for our defense. So I can't
Mm.
maybe, I don't know. I can
Maybe-
just recall, what Mo was talking about, that it's, the last 2 months or whatever it is. But for me, it's just since the turn of the year. Honestly, I would say since November, like I can't really recall, how solid it was. But maybe, as you guys said, maybe I just can't remember correctly. But for me, that's just it. Like I remember, like since around November before the World Cup, throughout the return of the World Cup, it's not been very good. Honestly, that's just what I remember.
Well, Farouk has been very, very,
You know what I think? I think
yeah.
Farouk is an agency for some other center back that he wants at Real Madrid. So his next target is Eder Militao, to open up a starting spot.
No,
I mean, if I
I
want to
mean,
open up a starting spot, the target obviously is either Alaba or Rudiger. Those are the 30+ defenders, man. Militao is the one you have for the future.
100%. But Farouk, like I want to actually back Farouk a bit here, because he was constantly reminding us how erratic Militao has been, even when he has had blinder of performances, like back to back. He always kind of reminded me and made me feel a little more grounded about Militao's performance. So yeah, man, I completely agree with your notion, but he should be A tier. The comments also agree with most of us. Madrid TV says Militao been very good this season. Few bad games, but solid, good. Yeah, 100%. XJ says think Militao was very good. The April dip was disappointing, and then his continuity was off. I agree with that as well. Continuity is a huge part of a centre back's game. Was still quite consistent, and I trusted him by far the most out of all our centre backs. Needs to concentrate way more. Yeah, that's one thing. Also, we have had moments where we got so frustrated watching him, because one moment you see him dribble past three guys out of a tight spot, and then you see him dilly dallying, into no man's land. So yeah, like Militao sometimes has polarizing performances. It's part of the process, I believe, for someone so talented and whose ceiling is super high. Rajat says, when Militao was suspended for the Man City game, it was clear that we were missing someone of that ilk. Stan says Joselu with the lucky goal for Spain. I guess we're signing him now. What do you guys think about his signing? I think it's extremely unnecessary. He's just going to take minutes away from Alvaro. If someone wants to take this question,
I think you need to go with at least two experienced strikers into the season, right? You cannot depend on Alvaro. I think everybody who's saying that he's taking away minutes from Alvaro, while I understand where you're coming from, you also have to understand the fact that Alvaro is like literally 18 or 19 and doesn't really have any experience at the top flight. Real Madrid going in with him as their second striker is a pretty risky choice. And overall, personally, I'm not really convinced that long term Alvaro is going to be like the striker for Real Madrid. And I think Joselu, his form over the past few years has been pretty good. So I'm pretty excited about what he does in Real Madrid, because he brings on a different qualities to Real Madrid's team. He's good in the box. He's like that fox in the box striker that Real Madrid haven't had. Even Karim Benzema wasn't that type of striker. So I'm quietly enthused by his signing, but I don't think he should be the starting striker.
Especially if Castilla gets promoted. If Castilla gets promoted, we hopefully it will get. They will need Alvaro. So it would be better for him having regular minutes in the Castilla in the second division than having probably non-existent minutes for us in the first division.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. The funny thing is, the last time Castilla was in the second division, Joselu was the striker. So hopefully,
2013, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. Right. Onto the matter at hand. Right. Alaba, Militao out of the way. Rudiger. I'll start with this one, because I've been calling for his head for large parts of the season. I was one of those guys, like I've reiterated so many times, that was kind of confident and was kind of going up against Mo and Farouk last summer, that this guy's gonna bring clear leadership skills. He's gonna uh, basically dictate a backline, blah 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 blah. Which didn't really quite happen for large parts, especially early first half of the season. But something in him changed the second part of the season. I'm not gonna lie. Grew a lot more consistent, a lot more sure of himself. Um, Kinda, I think, relish the challenge a bit more. I think in the earlier months he was a deer in headlights. Like the pressure and the expectation was a massive step up from Chelsea. But I think he has taken a good account of himself, to close the season. And I think I only have positive thoughts, positive things to say about Rudiger, and it's all credit to him, man. He kind of shut me up, and I'm ready to be even more humble next season when like he um, clearly steps up and probably becomes our best centre back. For me, um, should he be average or should he be A tier? I mean, it's a very difficult one.
I
I'd
think
probably go average.
I'm probably gonna say something that Farouk will disagree with. I'll
Mm.
probably put him in good tier, only for the performance. Like, if you consider Rudiger's season, I think while I agree that he took time to get acclimated, right? When he came in, he wasn't really sure about his role, I think, and his positioning and everything. So it takes time, especially when you're playing in defense. It's a really tactical job. You need to understand with your partner. You need to have an understanding. You need to know what moves to make and when. I think it took some time for Rudiger to get adjusted to his teammates, but by mid-season he started doing that and his performance level improved. For me, the pinnacle of Rudiger obviously has to be that game against Haaland, because he kept Haaland quiet for the first leg. So for me personally, that performance alone would probably put him in. If it were not that performance, I would probably put him in average. But that performance for me raises him into a good tier.
That's a very, very good way to put it. Does anybody have anything to add regarding Rudiger?
Yeah, definitely mid.
Yeah,
It's been a long season. It's a campaign, and with Rudiger, I'm never at peace. I sit there knowing that something could go wrong any moment. And we've considered a lot of goals where Rudiger has been just watching the ball, just as I have. My season has been mid. Why not Rudiger?
yeah.
That,
I agree
that's a violation
with
right there.
Jadu.
Yeah, go on, Edgar.
I agree with Jadu, and probably Farouk. It's not in his head because I cannot watch Rudiger be in the same tier as Eduardo and Militao.
Mm,
It's an average season for sure.
mm. Right,
Okay,
Farooq,
so the thing is
anything to add?
this. The thing is this, right? The thing is this. I totally get the point about the whole Haaland thing. Honestly, like I also said that, like I was really worried, to the level of shitting my pants about, Rudiger against Haaland, honestly. But the point is that I'm not gonna take one game. And honestly, Sunil, you're right. After that game, actually, the couple of games he played, like it was much more better. But these were garbage games that had zero pressure in them. So I'm sorry, but one individual Champions League game that was eventually inconsequential doesn't forgive everything that happened before the beginning. I mean, before the whole Haaland
Let me
thing.
ask you this question, Farooq. Yeah, so if Rudiger started the second leg, would it have made a difference?
I don't think so, because I've always said this. Like I said this before, irrespective of who started. If you're defending free kicks on your goal line, like it doesn't change anything. You were so deep already. It was an instruction from the coach already. It's not about who played or who did it. You understand? That was just the thing. So I don't think it's about that. But me personally, I don't see Rudiger anywhere there. Honestly, the only reason why I will actually put Rudiger as average is because he was present, unlike Mendy. I actually think Mendy. I think Rudiger should also be in the bad tier, in my opinion. But
Yeah,
then again,
I knew he was gonna say that.
because honestly, like one individual game doesn't negate, or rather doesn't validate everything that had happened before then. And the performances after that are in garbage games that had zero pressure in them. So because of one game, all of a sudden Rudiger becomes a potential A-tier player. I'm sorry, man. I don't
And
honestly.
there's also
I
something
don't. I don't.
that
I don't buy that.
Rajat is saying in the chat that echoes a lot of what I've seen on Reddit. It's that you can't argue he's not been good because we got him for a free deal. For the free deal, this is what you're getting, but that's not an argument that I choose to.
I mean,
That's
we can't come and do that because he's being paid.
This is not your local night out at McD, bro, where you get free fries, and you should be happy with whatever fries you get. So
Yeah.
no, this is not the same
Because
kettle fish.
even if the transfer was for free, he still have probably one of the best salaries.
Exactly.
He didn't
Exactly.
come for free.
100%.
So
He seems to be a regular on choosing beggars.
where should I put him? And average, bad, good.
Let's see. Decide after I read out a couple of comments. Madrid TV here says Rudiger been good, very useful. Yeah. I guess he's kind of referencing to his versatility, where he has played left back and whatnot whenever called upon. Rajat Yadu basically said, what Rajat felt. XJ, hard to put Rudiger and Alaba in the same category for me. Average, but mostly bad. Very shaky start, but I hope with time he had settled, and it seems he did. Still not good enough. So I guess the majority is kind of swinging towards average.
Yeah, and even okay, I will put him in average, and just for the, I don't know if all the chat know. Even if you put guys in the same category, if you're the further to the left, you are almost a category above. If you're furthest to the right, you're almost a category.
Yeah, there's like top of average, bottom of average. So
Yeah,
bottom of
yeah.
average is closer to bad, top of average is closer to good. So just that. Bottom of average for me.
Okay.
I mean, for now, there's just Alaba to compete against. He's been worse than Alaba. I mean, face it, guys.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
With all these intricacies, I'm thinking we should just get a bell curve and
and it just peaks in the middle.
I mean, Alaba, even after his injury, has looked like 2 times the defender Rudiger has been. It's mad. Right, the centre backs. Who else? Nacho.
Nacho.
Who should I come?
Scroll up,
For
Javier.
Nacho.
Javier, scroll up a little bit. Okay. Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Right.
it's moving a little bit slow.
No, that's okay.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I'll just
Right,
adjust the screen. Okay.
Mo, Nacho quickly, yeah. Like we gotta
Yeah,
quickly move on from the defense.
he was average, because he barely played. So I don't really know. He had a pretty good game with Salah, but then Chukwueze completely destroyed him. So average for me. Those are the only 2 games of his that I remember. Apart from that, nothing noteworthy.
100%. A very non consequential season in terms of Nacho. Like it's not his fault. It is clearly a
And I
managerial
totally
decision.
understand when he wanted to leave Real Madrid because he wasn't getting a role. I think he's probably only stayed because he's going to be the captain. Because otherwise, I don't really see the need for like a reason why Nacho is sticking around. Because Ancelotti clearly doesn't rate him above Rudiger, Alaba, and Militao, obviously. So for me personally, Nacho didn't really have much of a role. So average is okay.
I always felt super bad for Nacho. Even like that performance against Villarreal was shambolic. But more often than not, like whenever we had a bad performance, I was wondering, where is Nacho? Where is Nacho? Why can't Nacho fix this? Because man is Doctor Fix It. He is the very quick. He can fix up holes that we didn't know exist because he's so super consistent. But yeah. For me as well, like what XJ says, yeah, average didn't play enough. It's just a very, like inconsequential, season for Nacho. Does anybody have anything else to add regarding Nacho?
I mean, the only statement is that whenever we had defensive issues, the team didn't trust enough to bring Nacho on instead of any of the other centre backs. I mean, I think that speaks volumes in itself. Yeah.
And for me, the average category is it's fine, but I would put him slightly above Lava and Rudiger, as you know, like in terms of his level, he had a better season. Those 2 guys had poor seasons because we know they can be top tier or A tier at least. So we cannot expect the same level for Nacho. So in terms of his level, he was an average season, but better than those other 2.
Yeah, I disagree with Javier over there. I think Nacho, you expect more from him, but I don't really expect him to get destroyed by Chukwueze, even though Chukwueze has space and Nacho doesn't.
Would you expect to him to be better than Alaba or better than Rudiger?
I mean, Nacho has been at Real Madrid. Whenever he started, he's given good performances, right? He's played to the level of a Real Madrid centre back. So, given his own level, okay, ignoring the fact that how good Alaba and Rudiger are, this wasn't a season that you expect from Nacho. If you think about Nacho, you think of a player that whenever called upon, he comes and delivers. This season, you wouldn't say that Nacho, whenever he called upon, he delivered. So I think even from his own level, he was like below for me.
Nacho's a very good defender, but I have the sentiment that he didn't get enough chances to showcase his.
That's pretty valid. He didn't get enough chances because that's the first thing I said, right? He didn't play enough. But whenever he did play, he didn't play to his level. That's what I would say. I wouldn't say that he played like he was above his level or anything. That's the point I agree with.
That's a fair assessment. Farouk, anything?
Nothing, man. Honestly, for me, like when you talk about Nacho, I just think of a player who has a certain level and cannot break that ceiling. You understand? Occasionally, he does, exceptional performances as we saw last season. But honestly, for me, he's just an average player that gives you 6.5 10. At least this is what you can expect. So, one good thing I love about Nacho is that obviously, like they're outliers, like Mo pointed out, which I think are outliers because like he got destroyed by Samu Chukwueze. But how many times have I watched Nacho get destroyed by whoever it is? Honestly, I can count on my. Exactly, very few. So that's why I said like they're outliers. But also the thing is that I'm not expecting him to put in monstrous performances to the level of the Militaos or the Alabas, you understand, or what Rudiger was promised to be, you understand. So for me, like Nacho is just average. So, I mean, that's just it, average.
Fair. Right, before we get into the midfield, Stan SSS here, don't end this stream without addressing the elephant in the room, or in this case, the tortoise.
The
Tic
turtle.
Tac, I
The
think,
turtle.
yeah,
Tic-tac.
turtle. I think he's literally playing with everyone, maybe trying to overshadow Haaland too. Should we really get into this tonight, or should we wait?
I mean, if you guys want to touch upon it, I'm ready with my Haaland stuff.
Go for it.
Sorry,
Go for it.
Mbappé stuff.
Go for it. Keep it short though.
Now, for me, I don't really trust him. I think this guy, he knows what he's doing. He knows what the game he's playing, and I don't really know what to expect from him. Is it a play to get a better contract, or is it a play because he wants to move this season? Some people will come and tell you, he's playing that high IQ level games to, mind games to get a move out of PSG. But then I don't really trust him to do that.
Mhm.
Just to keep
Fair.
it short, I don't trust him.
Me,
Yes, same.
go on, Yadu. I think I've already been pretty clear with you guys. I'll let the chat know later, but go first.
Yeah, I
first.
mean, I don't believe the PR. First off, because we've been burnt on this bridge before. But the second thing is that Macron came out and said that he will pressure Mbappé to stay, which is a weird thing for a president of a country to say. I mean, don't you have anything else to do? He's asking a player to stay at a club. Like, how is that a part of the things
This
you
is
do?
not the first time that's happened.
Exactly.
Mm.
Like, what is this? Is this a ritual that you do every year with the president of your country? Bro, there's no point. Again, I mean, if there will be a lot of socioeconomic factors that go into it, to not get deep into it, but I think he's staying at PSG, just keeping things 100 with you. That's just what's happening. Yeah, no
Right.
hope.
No hope, yeah. For me, I think like PSG might eventually sell him. I don't know what he is kind of playing around. I think basically what Mbappe is trying to do. That this might seem very on the surface, but this is what I personally think. I think Mbappe is basically trying to devoid himself of any blame and basically like make his side clear and not appear to be the villain in front of his PSG faithful his fans. I think that's what he's trying to do, but the summer is long. We'll eventually find out
I think
what's
what
going
you
on.
said. I think what
Mm.
you said is one angle to it. The second angle would be the fact that when he signed his contract with PSG, he was guaranteed a wage of 70 million euros every year. But then he was also given a signing bonus. The signing bonus is split into 3 seasons. So the first season he gets like 70 million. Second season he gets 80 million. Third season gets 90 million. So the 80 million is due on August. I think it's either July or August. I'm not exactly sure about the dates, but that one is due like within this window. So I don't really see him moving before that because we have a precedence with it. When Neymar moved from Barcelona to PSG, he waited around till the 1st of August to get a loyalty bonus. So Mbappe might be doing something similar. But then even then, if he moves this season, he stands to lose like close to 150 million euros. So I don't really think I can't see him doing that, and that is why I think he keeps on insisting, like every time he gives the interview that he wants to stay on at PSG because Neymar, when he moved from Barcelona to PSG, Barcelona sued him for that money, and they didn't have to pay him. So I think Mbappe is probably wary of that as well because you don't really want to lose out on 80 million euros, right? And then
100%, yeah.
and then I guess he's okay giving up the last year, but I think probably that might also be a play to get a new contract, on better terms, because this is something that you always see NBA players do. They have a player option, they decline it, get a better contract later. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's doing that.
I actually get that. I mean, his whole entourage is a control-free group. They control everything from press releases, image rights, everything. Image rights, I kind of agree with him. I see his stances as pretty progressive for a player. But yeah, I think it's again a play for the contract to be more on his terms than on PSG's terms. Just adding to it, yeah.
Just to counter that, I would say when you want full contract rights, you cannot expect clubs to pay you a high money, right? Clubs also need to make money. Like if
But
Real
then
Madrid,
again, it's a special case, isn't it? It's not a traditional play. It's not a traditional case. It's not traditional money. With Mbappe's contract, we've seen rules get thrown out of the window from what you could have expected, even from last season. So I don't think this is a normal case where you can expect, okay, this is the president and this is what usually happens. There's no usual happening here.
No, I don't disagree with that. What I'm saying is like it's a little bit of hypocritical of Mbappe to go and ask for high wages and then ask for full, image rights as well. So I don't think it's possible for clubs to do both of them. But then he's at the club that can do both of them, and that is PSG.
Yeah,
So
because PSG is not a, like I get what you guys said. Like
Not a
it's
club.
not the same. Yeah, it's not the same. Like it's not the usual. Like you don't sign a contract with 2 years plus one on the player side when you are 23. It's not normal. We saw today Jude Bellingham signed a 6-year deal. That's the usual for players that age. So if you ask me, Mbappe only want to consolidate his money status. He basically, for me, he played in the Qatar League while he's at Paris. I don't know if you guys get what I mean. Like
Uh,
fill his pockets 2 seasons and then force a move to a better team. Hopefully, it's us. I still want him, but we cannot move aside this other Mbappe. Like Florentino said, this is not my Mbappe. I not get what he means. And if you want to be rich, it's okay. All of us will try to pursue the better wealth for our family. It's not
yeah.
normal to the president. It's not normal the whole entourage. For me, at least, I expect him to come. I said it on the chat. I expect him to come. But if we can push or him help us to push the move, uh, it's almost funny, The more he say he wants to stay at PSG, it forced the move to
Forces
PSG to
PSG's
lower
hands
the
to
price,
sell. Yeah, yeah.
for us.
Mm,
So
mm.
if he basically said every single day, "Oh, I want to stay, I want to stay, I want to stay," he's only saying to the gallery. But in terms of the business side of the teams, he's saying like, you better sell me now, PSG, if you ever want to watch a few dollars in your pocket. So
Mm.
it's good. I said in the chat, it's gonna. I hope it's gonna a long run. Like I don't expect this to be resolved in June or July. I expect late August even. So if he comes, great. If he doesn't, I still will. I think we have the cover in the Vini, and we should pursue the number 9. But I think we're gonna get him.
yeah, for me the biggest worry is like
Javier apparently has an agenda against Vini. How can you say you have a cover in Vini, for God's sake?
No, I mean, not. I wouldn't go full face for Mbappe, and once again, I made this tier, I made the tier when Vini is the top of the top, and I said in this podcast, I said Mbappe is not on the level of Vini. So if you ask me, we don't need Mbappe, and
Mbappe is
Mbappe
not on the
is
level of Vini. Yeah, I hope everyone heard that right. But we need to keep this moving. We will be touching upon Mbappe, in the coming weeks for sure. Just little, teaser, since people were requesting opinion on this. Right. A few comments before we get into midfield. We are already over an hour in. Stana
we still
says,
have defense players,
sorry.
We still have defense players that we didn't come up. I put them if you
And
guys
then
want
Javier's
to.
just rearranging it. Yeah. We'll just touch upon them really quickly. But yeah, Sunil,
Yeah.
just finish the comments really quickly, please.
As for the Stan SS says, as for the review, I didn't like the Rudiger signing from the onset. I was sort of proven right. I thought Pau Torres, due to his calm and elegant style, he was gonna complete all those robust defenders. Not so sure, Pau Torres hype. I get what people like about him, but I don't consider him elite. In my opinion, Ta Saliba says, who is going to be our striker for next year if Mbappe and Kane stays? I personally prefer him to stay and buy him for free. 160 million plus is way too much for Mbappe. I disagree with the money thing. Like if we can get him this season, it'll be a fucking statement. I'm not gonna lie. Money comes, money goes, bro. We gotta, we can't waste another year. Um, Deron Hunter says, for me, we need a world class striker, Harry Kane. Also, right back, if we don't get none of those positions filled, it's hard for us to compete next season for a trophy. Saliba says, surely we are not going to pay him the salary he's receiving in PSG. How much is he on at PSG?
70 million plus yearly bonus. I think that's
70
like
million.
euro.
I don't. Can you put it into perspective? Because I'm used to the weekly thing.
I don't really know. I
It's
will have
three times
like-
more than Karim or Hazard last season. 3 times. at
Three
least.
times, yeah. I don't think we'll be able to afford it.
Nah, we can't pay that. I think if he comes to Madrid, the number rumored is 25 million.
We
if he comes
didn't
to
pay
Madrid, that would be-
Cristiano Ronaldo 30 million.
Yeah, we didn't pay Cristiano Ronaldo 30 million. So that when Cristiano Ronaldo went and asked Florentino for 30 million, he's told them to go to the door. So
Yeah, I think absolutely that should be, be like what we see in modern, football. Essentially like great clubs. Like they succumb when faced up with this jeopardy that is the wage bracket. The wage structure should be, in my opinion, one of the most looked after, pieces of the puzzle in a club. You can't demolish that for any single player. But onto the midfield, man. Who should we start with? Yeah, in lieu of his amazing
Did
performance
you just
last
skip
night.
Danny Carvajal, bro? You just skipped Danny Carvajal like you don't.
Oh yeah. My bad. I was completely caught up with this, this conversation regarding Mbappé. My bad.
The
Danny,
disrespect. The disrespect.
no, it didn't disrespect. Danny Carvajal is my guy, but in my
Did you
opinion,
did you forget Mendy? You didn't forget Mendy. How would you forget? Okay.
Carvajal for me. Relax, yeah, Farouk. Carvajal for me had a bang average season. It could have been bad, easily bad, but I think his Champions League performance has kind of redeemed his status a bit for this season. But nothing much to add. Like I've voiced my opinion similar to many of you guys on this very panel that sometimes when you look at Danny Carvajal's performances, like you wonder, has he really fallen off? Does he have enough mileage in him to go for another couple of seasons? It is a question mark. It is a question mark. But as a season as a whole, I think average would do him justice. But I'll come to you, Farouk, bro. Break it down.
before Farouk goes ahead, I just want to say one thing. I support Farouk when he says you totally forgot about him because a common reference the right back position. He still did remember Danny Carvajal. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So you're gonna pile that on me as well, yeah? Nice ganging up on me. Have fun, guys. Have fun. But over to you, Farouk.
Yeah, man. I mean, Javier, as you know, and you as well have rightly just placed Carvajal there. I think Carvajal is like that kind of curve that goes up and down, and eventually just settles down and average. Like the good out. How can I say, like just balances out the evil, or if that's the term. But honestly, like I think Carvajal, it's not about not having mileage anymore. It's about just getting comfortable and not having that competition there, because he knows like whatever happens, like he's the guy who's gonna play irrespective. So I think due to that, like he doesn't feel the need to, I don't know, step up or improve his play or whatever it is. But I just feel like he's gotten too comfortable. I do still believe that Carvajal still has at least 1-2 good seasons in him, just like he needs strong one to push him very strongly, honestly.
Now, for me personally, I
that's-
disagree with Farouk. I think Carvajal's injuries have caught up with him. I think if it was possible financially, I would want Real Madrid to replace him, like get a different player. But I don't think it will happen, sadly, because of the financial situation. With 3 players under contract right back. But I think I don't disagree with. I disagree with Farouk when he says that it's just because he's getting complacent. He doesn't really have anybody to compete with him. I think it's simply because Carvajal right now his injuries.
You
have caught
can't
up with him. He
also
doesn't have-
overlook the factor that competition basically would improve, the performances of a player drastically. I think when you
I mean,
have nobody to
competition
look
will.
behind.
I agree with that. That competition plays a role, but
Mm.
with Carvajal, I think his injuries have caught up with him. It isn't because he doesn't want to do good or anything. He was pretty brilliant without competition previously as well. But especially since his issues in 17-18 with myocarditis, his performances have been a downward slope. And after the 20 season, like 19-20 season, it's just been downward slope for him. So it is a part of a larger pattern. It isn't just something that has happened like this season, or an acute thing. Is something that's been a part of a bigger pattern. He's been declining, and I think this season finally we are seeing that this is the beginning of the end of Danny Carvajal.
I would ask Javier, like, we got to keep this very fucking short. Yeah, like we got to quickly move on. Danny Carvajal's 21-22 season, I thought it was fine. It wasn't his exemplary standard set by himself, like, but still it was fairly satisfactory, and he provided the biggest assist of the season against City. Javier, in your opinion, like, does he still have a role in this club? If you had a chance to dictate how we dealt the right back situation.
Yeah, he still has the role. Yes, in the same regard, I think the last season or the few last seasons of
Javier, I think we lost Javier. Right, let's just quickly move on. I hope Javier actually has him at average. Can anybody see that?
He does. Yeah.
He does, yeah. Is he still in the meeting?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Fair. Right. Quickly into midfield. In lieu of his, amazing performance last night, Lukita, Yadu.
Fair enough. As in, it's always tough because he is one of the greatest this club has ever had in the midfield, at least for me. Player I've seen the most, and still plays like he's a 23 instead of being. Right, the internet, Javier's internet just disconnected. Sorry. For me, it would be he had a good season. He didn't have a Vinny level season because I guess for me the reasoning is that it kind of petered out. I mean, I guess I'm asking more of him than what I should. But yeah, Luka Modric, man. He is Luka Modric, so it's a good season. Overall, it's a good season. It's not the best of seasons. It can't hold a candle up to last season. It's not also a bad season. So yeah, it's not even average. I can't even say average. So good, because there used to be a time when we had standing ovations for Luka Modric stadium after stadium, away game after away game, and then it kind of the World Cup effect, and then the petering off of general forms throughout the team, and we ended up where we are. So a good season, better than average. Yeah.
Yes, I don't know what happened. My
But you're back, right?
Google-
You're back, right?
Yeah, we're good.
Thank God. Right. Okay. Modric.
Yeah, I agree with Yadu. The when he says that he was good, I agree with him. But then with Luka Modric, you expect more. So
100%.
I expected him to be like on the same tier as Vinny and Courtois, but he wasn't. That was disappointing. But overall, I think when he was good, he was good. When he wasn't, yeah, you couldn't do anything about it. He's growing up in age, and I think next season his playtime probably has to be decreased. I think we can't rely on him as much as we have relied so far. But this season, yeah, 8-year good is okay.
At times he has looked, struggling for fitness, man. Especially like lead up to the semi-finals. When he had to kind of be rushed back. I don't understand, like at least now with Bellingham, it wouldn't be such a pressing issue. But you can't rush him from an injury. You can't force him to, play like every fucking 90, 80 minutes even. Like if we are actually doing pretty well, you should be looking to sub him off around the 60th minute mark. Obviously, when you're watching this guy at work, like you would want him to play forever. Like that's the simple fact of the matter. But for me, Modric's season, the way it started again, was splendid. Just like how our overall season was, the momentum with which he began the season kind of petered out, and it didn't look great. I'm telling you, even in games that our team did well, Modric did have stinkers here and there, which was so uncharacteristic of him. I haven't actually seen Modric stoop that low. I did even mention it on a subreddit, like I haven't seen Modric play that bad in a long while. But like what Yadu and Mo said, I 100% agree that he had an eight season by far. Mm, right. Anything else to add regarding Modric, Farouk and Javier?
Just to point out that I'm not sure if he's going to start the next season.
Mm,
I'm not sure. He's tempted by Saudi League, and why not? He's 38. He proved everything, and he knows that he had the replacement. Whoever you name it,
mm,
Jude,
mm,
Fede, Eduardo, Tchouameni, Ceballos. He had a lot of competition. If you go to Saudi League and making 1 year more than the past 10 years at Real Madrid, why not? For me, it will not change a thing, and it
mm.
will be the legend of the legends. One of the best midfielders in history of the game, one of the best players in the history of Real Madrid. So I would love him to stay, but I completely understand if he goes.
Mm.
Just that. And for me, I would rather have this good season for Modric than having in some regard of the last season of Marcelo. Basically, not having
I'll
minutes.
tell you. I'll tell you something that you wouldn't be able to, or that you wouldn't be ready to, accept. But Modric is never going down like that, bro. Like it's never gonna happen. No way, no way. So
You
Modric,
don't
like
know until you know.
even if he's on one leg, you will notice that like this guy is different. But
I know.
yeah, in regards to time, so Farouk, do you agree? 8 year is it's okay for Modric,
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
100%. Is that a yes? Okay, okay. Okay. Javier, do your magic. XJ also says Modric was good. The World Cup affected so much of the team. Yeah. Um, and the amount of minutes he plays regularly for Croatia as well is a major brunt regarding his fitness. But I saw him last night. He didn't break a sweat. The swagger with which he was dismantling the Dutch midfield was a sight to behold. Yeah, man. On his day, he can be up there with anybody who played in midfield. Right. Tony Cruz. Farouk.
I kind of feel like this is a difficult one, at least for me personally, because Cruz could be. I mean, he also started the season, quite well, and like a man on a mission and what is not. But he's also played a lot of the season, out of position, playing the lone pivoting and what is not. And honestly, it's not been really good on him. So it's been kind of weird, honestly. So for me, I don't know. I think Kroos was more of an average season than a good one. I would, rate him much more than that. Honestly, I mean, I don't know how skewed the rating is, but honestly, like there are a lot of, I don't know. I think there should be more colors here. Like the colors are just, to one dimension, I would say. But for the
Do
sake
you
of it,
want
I
the
would just,
fucking picks at our team to design
uh,
our TM makers or what?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's just like there are some things that obviously, like, I wouldn't say like Kroos has been that level of bad, honestly, but
Yeah, yeah.
so like I feel like average doesn't do him justice, but good also is too much. So like he's something in between, if there's such a thing. But
Yeah,
for the
top
sake of
of
it,
average, I guess. Top of
exactly. Let's
average,
just
yeah.
let's make him the top of average. And that's
Better
the thing. Like
than
we
all
we
of the players who are there.
we expect so much from Kroos, honestly. So like he's also one of those players that we look forward to seeing how the transition happens next season. So with the new midfielders.
Javier's actually done a smart thing. Javier's made a Tony tier just for Cruz. Fair enough, man.
Because I agree. I will go to the battle if someone put Tony below or even on average. The man provide a number 5 role that he hates playing, and he did it well. And whenever he plays in his position, he was one of the best players in the
At
team.
times, I've got to agree with Javi. At times, Cruz kind of felt superior to Modric. I'm not gonna lie. The consistency, with how Cruz operated, I think, it was far better than Modric in parts of the season. But yeah, I agree with you guys as well, man. Cruz should have had a better season, but I clearly expected him to deteriorate more than Modric, which didn't happen. So I'm kind of happy, and the very fact that he was played out of position, playing the six, which is not really his thing, was always gonna hinder his season. I hope Carlo finally fucking learns the lesson and moves him to where he prefers to
Question
play.
to you
That
then.
is, yeah.
He learned his lesson. Who plays a single pivot then?
I didn't get that. What?
If he learns his lesson, let's say Carlo eventually miraculously, becomes someone so innovative, learning new things, who plays the single pivot then?
For me, it's Kamavinga. I'll go with
Tchouameni.
Tchouameni, man, he should be molded into that guy, in my opinion.
No, I think
Kamavinga.
personally for me, I think Kamavinga should be the 6 and Tchouameni should be the 8.
No, number 8 is going to be Jude.
No, you play with 2 8s, right? You can play with Jude and Kamavinga, Tchouameni.
Kamavinga and Tchouameni in a double pivot, or
God, honestly, I don't know what Fede already has to do to gain some respect among you guys. Even in the group, you guys are like that. Everyone mentions everyone, and just forget that someone like Fede exists somewhere. Oh,
But you asked for the defense.
I'll be honest with you,
But then
Farouk.
again-
Whenever Fede plays in the midfield, I'm not that impressed with him.
also
Me neither.
I think Fede is more of an attacking player than a defender. You would put
Yeah,
as
you
a,
said the defender.
as a pivot, as a
I
pivot.
think
Yeah.
I think
Tchouameni.
let's move on to Fede quickly. Yeah. So Cruz has a tier of Cruz, yeah.
A tier
Like
of
he's
his
on his
own.
own tier.
Yep.
Of his
Yep.
own, yeah.
Yep.
So there you go. I hope Farouk and Mo agrees, because
Yeah. For me, it's not an issue because whenever Cruz, like whenever we sat him down, and then whenever he came on the pitch, you could see the difference.
yeah,
Without Cruz on the
100%.
day, like in offense was pretty bad.
Quickly before we move on to Fede, Stanis says, I think the fact that we were still relying on Kroos and Modric said a lot about our quality in depth, but I think it's good for them to be around during this transition. 100%. Couldn't agree more, Stan.
But we used to drop names like Modric and Kroos. Like they're not the same age. They're not playing the same role. Modric is 38. Tony is 33. They have a 5-year gap. It's more than like someone like Fede to, Jude. It's not like they are the same age or they have the same relevance.
No.
We
Like
used to-
the experience can still be, transferred. Can still be taught, man. Like what are you saying? So Kroos and Modric can't help these kids to bed in.
No, I think Javier is saying that you shouldn't hold Cruz to the same level of scrutiny as Modric because Modric is older than Cruz.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't get that. Okay. Fair. I
Or,
think
or the fact that the fans, the comments say like, we cannot rely on Kroos and Tony. We can rely on Tony as much as the next guy.
Yeah,
He's
but then
younger
again,
than
I
Benzema.
mean, yeah, it's true. But then again, Cruz has been talking more about retiring than any other player in Real Madrid's history. So I expect Cruz to stay a maximum of 2 seasons because if he feels like he can't do it anymore, he'll say it on his podcast first in German, and then somebody on Twitter will translate it, and then he'll talk to Perez, and then that will be the end of that. So it's one of those
the
things.
podcast is getting out of hand. But I'll tell you something, Javier. Like Toni Kroos and Modric shouldn't be measured with the same scale, but there are some things that should be talked about in the same conversation. That these guys, like regardless of the 5-year age difference, Modric sometimes looks better than Tony, and also Tony sometimes looks better than Modric. So I don't think age has a part to play. The experience is kind of neck level. It's the same thing.
I think you also have to consider the fact that Toni Kroos is like incredibly impossible to replace. While you might individually consider Modric to be the better player than Kroos, I think it's the same thing with Cristiano and Benzema, right? I think
Yeah.
it's pretty difficult to replace Benzema. And I think it's pretty difficult to replace Cruz because you don't really get layers of those qualities often.
100%. I agree with
Yeah.
that.
All right,
Right.
moving on.
Moving on to Fede.
Federico.
Who wants to take the reins first?
Yeah, I'll just say that Fede was pretty good at the before the World Cup, and he was not as good after the World Cup. Before the World Cup, he was playing in a more attacking role, I guess I should say, as
Not
a
as
right
good is
winger.
getting good.
And
Saying Fede wasn't
no,
as good. It's
I'm saying that before the World Cup, he was pretty good, but after the World Cup,
yeah,
it's pretty bad.
yeah, pretty bad. Like because you said that it's not as good. I mean, Fede after the World Cup was terrible at points. Terrible.
Yeah, for me, that's the thing, right? Before the World Cup, I felt he had a more attacking role, but around the time of the World Cup and post the World Cup, I think Rodrigo made the right wing position his own in Ancelotti's mind. He sort of became undroppable, and then Fede, I guess, for me, that's the thing, right? With these players, these young players, they all have high potential, but unless you give them repetitions, they're not going to grow into their roles. And I think Fede is the prime example of that. When he plays right wing, he seems to have had that repetitions on the wing positions, right wing, right mid, and all those places. But when it comes about playing into the midfield, I think he struggles a bit as an eight. So for me, that's one
The
of the
thing
reasons
is,
what I
Mo,
consider.
you're overlooking the fact that he was playing through injury and a lot of pain as well.
I
So
mean, that was towards the end of the season, but immediately after the World Cup, he wasn't that great either, right?
I
And
mean, cutting him some
He
slack. I
had
mean, he had a family
the terrible
issues,
family issues. Yeah.
okay, yeah, that fine, we can consider that, but still, you can see when a player is uncomfortable in a position when he's not having the same level of performance that he would have outside in the wing positions. When he was playing in those wing positions, he had the freedom to attack into the final half, take those shots. But when you're playing as a midfielder, as an eight, you have a different set of responsibilities. And when it comes to those responsibilities, I think Fede struggled a bit.
Fede is a conundrum, honestly. Like even when he plays out wide, like some days I obviously think that he can do the job. Like he adds a lot more stability towards that right hand side. But other days, like I think he can't take a fucking man on. He can't provide any width. Like he's just basically hanging around right next to Carvajal. Like slightly tucked in. But yeah, man, like he is also a question mark in my humble opinion. Like what is his best position? That's why, like when we mention some favorites like Kamavinga, Fede doesn't usually get into the conversation. I don't know what you guys think, but that's my opinion. Like why he kind of gets overlooked here and then. But Farouk, man, you have been silent. Fede.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say you don't know what Fede's best position is, and talk about a player like Kamavinga as well. Then I don't know what will you say Kamavinga's best position is. Like we literally just talked about like
Kamavinga's best position is the
someone
midfield.
saying a 6, someone saying an 8, someone saying. I mean, but then in
Kama-
the midfield, what does he offer you? Is he a 6? Is he an 8? This is the
He's a
question.
box
What
to
does
box in my
Tchouameni?
opinion. Like for some people like him as playing the the CDM role, but in my opinion, like he works best box to box.
I just personally believe that the thing is that we don't value Fede Valverde as much as we value the other names, because the point is that he's not a glamorous thing. That's the thing. Like I feel this is one thing, but I totally agree with you guys in the sense that like at the beginning of the season he exploded, and towards the, I mean not towards the end, but rather like I think since even before the World Cup, I would say like actually something happened. I don't know what happened, but his form dipped, and after the World Cup that continued, and I think even that went into the World Cup as well. And after the World Cup, that continued to at least towards the end of the season. I think it got a bit
Farooq,
better.
let's consider it this way, all right? Let's forget about his form. Let's consider the qualities he brings, right? What are Fede Valverde's best qualities? It is carrying the ball across the lines. It's
Exactly, yeah.
playing
line
in the
breaker as well.
playing in the opponent third. When Valverde is playing as a midfielder, he struggles at the job of a midfielder that is, defending deep, positioning himself in the defense. Those are the areas that he struggles in, and those are the areas that he hasn't had repetitions in. And when it comes to short passing, long passing, I don't really see him having the same impact as somebody like Tchouameni does, because Tchouameni, he has the same abilities of carrying the ball, but when it comes to the middle third and final third, Tchouameni has the ability to play that final pass into the box. I haven't seen Fede Valverde do that. So, although we can say that Valverde's best position is the midfield, I haven't seen him perform the jobs of a midfielder. What I have seen him do is play as a right mid, as a right wing, and attack those spaces from there, take shots and everything. That role, I agree, he's pretty good at. But right now, that role is being done by Rodrigo, and I don't really know where Fede Valverde goes from here. For me, it is important that he gets repetitions. Probably, if he gets repetitions, he improves as a midfielder as well. But let's see.
Well, that's the thing, right? That's the point I'm trying to make here in the sense that you haven't seen Fede given that repetition in the middle of the park to show that he can do this, right? But similarly as well, we haven't seen Tchouameni given that repetition at the team as well. At Real Madrid, Tchouameni also hasn't been given that repetition. Whatever he's done at AS Monaco for France,
No,
it's a secondary discussion.
Let's forget what Tchouameni did at Monaco, right? Let's just consider what Tchouameni did at Real Madrid. Towards the first half of the season, when he was playing as the CDM, right?
Yep,
Tchouameni was one of our best players. Do you remember the assist that he made for Rodrigo against Atletico?
I know, yeah.
After the World Cup, his form fell off, and then for whatever reason, Ancelotti decided Tchouameni was like the worst thing in the team. I don't really know what happened over there, but when I have watched Tchouameni play, I don't really have huge complaints from him. But when I have watched Fede Valverde play in the midfield, I can point out and say like these are the issues, these are the jobs that he's not doing well.
Yeah, but I think that the discussion always goes back to what you said initially. The thing is that he's been played consistently as a right winger. All of a sudden, you're not going to expect him to just reset and automatically become a right midfielder.
That's a very valid point.
I don't disagree with that.
So, I mean, for me, the thing what I'm just trying to go back to is that I genuinely feel that if Fede was wearing a different jersey today, we would actually give him more credit than he's getting right now. This is just what I believe, honestly. I think if Fede had, a different name, was from a different country, most likely it will be different for him, honestly.
There's no loss.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I think the thing with Valverde is that, for me, if it doesn't matter, I hold him to a certain level, right? I don't think he's a young player that needs to break into the team that I have.
He's 24.
With that I have the expectation with Camavinga and even maybe Bellingham and Tchouameni. Valverde, I expect him to be approaching his peak, getting to his best abilities. I don't really think this is the best Valverde that we have seen. So I don't really know what to expect from him going into the future. I'm not saying Valverde is a bad player or anything. I'm just saying that I'm not sure what sort of a role he plays on the team going forward.
Once hopefully things fall into place and he gets a consistent run of games, either in midfield, maybe right back, who knows, he has played the right back role before, or right wing, and he gets some momentum. I see him doing well. What happened this season was, stop, start shit, which really doesn't favor a guy like, Fede, who, who relies on momentum, to basically, get about his job. Last year, when we won the double, what happened was Fede given consistent minutes, whether it's in midfield or and right wing in big games, the trust being placed on him. I think that helped him go up a level. But this season has been kind of stagnant in terms of his Real Madrid career. But
I mean, he's had the output. He's had goal outputs this season than he's had ever before, and it's interesting going into next season because he has this potential to combine with Jude. And let's see what happens, because you want somebody to provide the final pass, as Farouk said, into the box, and you need somebody to actually finish it. I mean, we saw the cutback between Benzema, Vini. Now we'll hopefully see the combination on the left from Jude and Vini, and hopefully Fede can add another dimension to that threat as a finisher, at least somebody in the box, a presence there, and couple that with this engine that carries him, and we have a good mix, some potential there. So again, for this season, I'd say average, combining the first part and the last part. Top of average, probably.
Yeah, top of average. Javier, Fede links with Liverpool. Apparently, I read. I don't think it's credible, but apparently Liverpool, keeping an eye on Fede. Mo earlier stated that Fede might be the guy that gets hacked from the team. Man, quickly, Fede Valverde.
The season average. The player.
Average,
Player can potentially be Vini tier. So let's wait another season. You can have a
100
bad season.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
So
He can have a bad season. Bang average. Yeah, everybody agrees with average. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the best of average.
That you can decide. For me, average. I don't think he should be. Yeah, top of average. I don't think. But
I mean, who else is an average? I forgot.
It's Nacho, Alaba, Rudiger, and Carvajal.
Yeah, probably best of average then.
he was better than Alaba.
Yeah, Alaba was injured half the time. I don't really know how to put
But
it.
when Alaba played, his impact I think was bigger than Fede. But yeah, it is what it is.
I mean, Fede scored 10 goals, right?
I know
11.
he did, but it was early part of the season.
But still, those goals helped us. So
They still count.
Yeah, it's still
I
11
don't think
goals.
it.
Yeah.
I don't think those goals had much weight. That's just my opinion. It might be controversial, but yeah, I expected so much more from Fede. I'm just so disappointed. Stanise here says Fede after the Champions League final performance against Liverpool at right wing. I think he should have been played there consistently, especially since Rodrigo says he prefers the number 10 position rather than the right wing. We'll get into it once we get to Rodrigo's stand for sure. Who is the next guy? Tchouameni and Ceballos. We're gonna fast track it because we only have like 30 minutes before we kind of need to wrap this up. Who wants to take the Tchouameni verdict first? Farouk.
I think I'll just go first, like because
Oh
I
yeah,
know.
go for
Yeah,
it.
for Tchouameni, I think I'll probably place him an average in the overall. But like first half of the season, I think he tended towards good, you know. But second half, he got injured after the World Cup. Even his performances in the World Cup were pretty good. If you guys remember, he played against Jude in the World Cup and he scored that goal that took France past England,
Banger.
I believe.
Banger.
So I think first half of the season was pretty good. But then second, after he got injured after the World Cup, and Ancelotti for some reason decided that he doesn't need to play. So I don't really know what happened between Ancelotti and Tchouameni over there, because personally, whenever I've watched Tchouameni play, I couldn't say that, oh yeah, this guy is pretty bad, he doesn't deserve to play. But I think it was probably a consequence of Ancelotti preferring Rodrigo at the right wing position. So he somehow had to find a way to
Shoehorn Fede in.
Yeah, shoehorn Fede in, keep Fede Valverde around. So probably that was it. But for me, I think that counts against Tchouameni, so I would put him in average.
For me, he was good, bro. Definitely not S tier, but he was good. In my opinion, whenever he was given the chance, but the minutes kind of makes him, makes his case downgrade a bit to average. I can't lie, but whenever I've seen Tchouameni being trusted with important games, high pressure situations, like I think he has clearly stepped up every single time. Farouk, quickly, Tchouameni.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with Mo. I don't generally accept what you said that he was good. Like I feel like for the first couple of games of the season he was really good, and then something happened, after the World Cup, because as Mo rightly pointed out, at the World Cup also he was really, really good at the World Cup, honestly. And I think he was even better with France than he was with us, honestly. And he got injured, and all of a sudden something changed. And honestly, for me, like after that, whenever he comes on, whenever he starts, I don't see anything that will make me think, oh, I want this guy playing every week. You understand? He wasn't bad, but he wasn't good in my opinion after the World Cup. But before the World Cup, definitely he was a wall beater. So for that, I'll just put him as average.
There you go.
Nothing to disagree there. It's just average. I mean, I concur all the points. So yeah,
Javier.
it is.
Yeah,
Javier.
I put him right next to Fede in terms of one of the best on average.
There we go. Moving on.
There you go. Ceballos, average. He is the definition of mid. I haven't got anything to add regarding Ceballos. I request we shouldn't, spend much time, discussing.
Sunet doesn't like Ceballos because he didn't perform at his.
You didn't tune into the podcast much more because like I've been singing his praises, especially the Villarreal game. If you go back and watch it, like I was screaming for this guy. But
It was a
when
joke. Don't take it so seriously.
no, I'm just telling you, this is no Arsenal agenda or anything. Yeah, like I'm just telling you that Ceballos, when he is asked to step up a level, can't. Just can't.
Just some stats that might be really interesting. He had 53 minutes per game on average, and he's also made a team of the week once in 30 games. So
Mm,
mid.
yeah. Anybody else disagrees with that? XJ also says the same. Tchouameni and Ceballos both average for the inconsistency in minutes.
Hmm.
So moving on, yeah? We're moving on, yeah? From Ceballos?
I put him right next to Rudiger and Carvajal in the bottom part of average.
Yeah, that serves him right. He had some bright moments, but it wasn't enough. Quickly onto the attack. Are we missing anybody from midfield? Because we have a lot. Sometimes I might. Nobody else, yeah. So the attack, Rodrigo. I'll start with my boy. Yes, he underperformed his. Of course, I will. He underperformed his XG by like 50%, but yet he had, his best ever, goal tally for us, 19 goals, 11 assists or something. Pretty great considering he was tried out in so many positions, striker 1 week, right wing next week, Cam the week after. Rodrigo has had a very wild season, where he was always asked or expected to make a difference. I think he didn't let himself down or his team down on many occasions. Sometimes I just believe that the ask at hand was way too much for him. I think he has levels to go up as a player. I still believe that he can improve. But for me, yeah, man, good season. Not S tier quite, but A tier, 100%.
I think you also, when you're talking about Rodrigo, you also have to consider the fact that he was constantly asked to play in different positions. Whenever Benzema was missing, he was asked to play as a striker. When Benzema was around, he was asked to play as a winger. And the issue was that he never got consistency in any one position, right? So as soon as he got a run of games, Benzema would be back, so he had to shift out to the right wing position. As soon as he was getting consistency in the right wing position, Benzema would get injured, and then he had to shift back. So I think that sort of hurt him. But yeah, I agree with the fact that especially in the first half, he was missing a lot of goals, I guess. But towards the end, I remember around the Champions League games, his finishing started improving, and then he went on that run where he was like he had a lot of goals in a lot of games. So I think overall, I agree with you when you say that he was good.
Anybody else got anything to add, Rodrigo? Nobody, yeah? Farouk, Yadu, Javier. Is anybody here in the meeting? Oh no.
Everybody's here.
That's what I'm wondering.
Just processing what you said.
I mean, bro, like silence is in the affirmative. If there is nothing to see, if no one says anything, then it means everyone.
Because
agrees.
I can't see. I'm basically I have the chat open, right? So I can't see the. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just fixing our technical stuff because Javier's
Javier left.
internet
Yeah.
just
That's what happened. Okay.
Javier's internet just dropped, so I was just adjusting OBS for us.
Right.
But
Yeah,
for
I've had 6
Rodrigo,
Javiers at one time on my screen. So.
yeah, but I mean, with regards to Rodrigo, I agree that he's had to pick up the mantle a couple of times. And whereas in the last season he came up clutch for us without us really asking him to or expecting of it, this time there was more expectations on his shoulder, especially with injuries, whatnot, the flexibility in the team. But I think he's one of those players who's massively improved from the last season. So yeah, for me, right next to Vini. Especially he scored and danced with Vinny for Vinny, and I thought that was one of the highlights of the season for me. All path lady and all that. So fucking yeah, it's yeah, it's been good. It's a good season for him.
Right, Javier is back. Farouk, quickly, Rodrigo.
Yeah, man. I mean, there is nothing to add. You guys have said it all. It's it's been an improvement for man. Honestly, like the even though he missed 50% of the XG doesn't really matter in the sense because that's the thing. Like uh, I mean, the strikers don't score all the chances that they're given. If eventually they score all the chances that they get, then it becomes something else entirely. But yeah, obviously, like his finishing is only just gonna improve because I mean, let's not forget last season. I mean, even up until I think maybe November to World Cup, like he was still in and out of the team. Like it was just after a while that he got a constant run in the team. And for me, actually, what I want is for these young players to stop being expected in their position. Like we should have a more definitive role, and because that's the way eventually you grow up. I mean, when you grow up and you get all the experience and all that, then you can be asked to plug in different sports. But when you have to play today as a striker and tomorrow as a winger, like it doesn't really work well for a player like Rodrigo. I really do hope like we can solve this and find whatever it is that we need to find, either it's a number 9 or a substitute number 9 or whatever it is that can at least help help ease the burden in that central positions and can allow a player like Rodrigo to focus on what he has to do. Obviously today and tomorrow you can always interchange positions, but like now what Rodrigo has been put through this season of always falling between the center and the wing positions as well. But yeah, overall it's been a very, very good season in my opinion for Rodrigo personally.
Yeah, fixed right winger. I mean, I'd say a starting right winger for us. He
Yep.
start? I've heard both sides of the argument. If he should start or if he should be the impact sub. Personally, I think he should start because that's what a player who plays for Real Madrid should aspire for. Is he more effective coming off the bench? I don't know, but I prefer him to start as his career improves. I mean, that's who you want the first 5 minute goals from. If we have a chance, we have to take it, and I think for that, Rodrigo is essential on the pitch.
I mean that's a question that you keep that needs to be answered as well in the sense that you come and eventually you decide that okay, I want to get a player like Kylian Mbappe and I want to get a striker in the team, Haaland or whatever it is. Then eventually who drops out? Like do you see Rodrigo eventually as a super sub for the team? Going forward, or like how does he eventually fit into the whole? Because obviously you can play with 4 attackers. Definitely someone has to drop out. But personally,
Yeah.
for me, honestly, I feel like with the strides that Rodrigo is taking, he's showing to be much more, that impact someone honestly. But I don't know.
Exactly. It's not.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to quickly move on. So Rodrigo, 8 here, yeah. Javier is not here. Screen share is completely messed up. We apologize, guys. It's been a constant trend with us. We just can't seem to get shit right. It's just comes with the territory. Um, it's just what it is. Like if it was in my control, I would do something about it. But unfortunately, we as a team, when we are put up against, like having a special, we fuck up. We have to hold our hands up. Like it happens 2.5 years in. It's still happening to this day. Like it makes me so angry. But unfortunately, I'm not in a position to do anything about it. Right. What do we move on to
To
next?
Vini. To Vini.
Karim Benzema, before we move on to Mini, who is the standout player. Karim Benzema, Mo, where do you start with describing Karim's season? Because it started off so well. We thought he might go on another blinder. When
Yeah, that
another
goal,
Ballon
that
d'Or.
goal in the preseason, right? It said expectations pretty high. Yeah, I think with Karim, injuries, and then even if you disregard the injuries, the World Cup, the whole fiasco, I think that ruined his season. Still, when he came back, he had some games that were pretty good. The game against Valladolid and the game against Barcelona, where he scored the hat trick. So those were games that were highlights. But then there were a lot of lowlights because I think I also have to consider the fact that I think Karim's role this season changed a little bit because Vinicius was the one who was being pushed more into attacking position, to scoring position, compared to Benzema, and he was reverting to the old Benzema of the old, the one with the Cristiano who used to drift out wide and facilitate more, be a little less protagonistic. He was kind of like facilitating Vinny. So I think that was the difference. But then for me personally, like I said before as well, I think the whole issue with the World Cup ruined this season. I have to question the fact that if he had the same motivation after that, we have discussed this before. So for me overall, I would probably put him into good tier because when he had those performances, so he probably go into good tier. But yeah, it was a disappointing season for me personally, because I expected a lot more for Karim.
I share the same sentiment. Karim Benzema, like he should have walked off into the sunset with much better season, to his name, especially his final season. But despite that, the silver lining, I think, is with him being so injury prone this season. Despite that, he managed to bag a few goals. Was second in the Pichichi, right? Was second in
Yeah,
the Pichichi,
again,
uh,
he had the
behind
best goals
Lewandowski.
goals to minutes ratio in the league.
Yeah, best goals to minutes ratio as well. I read that as well. So it's nothing to scoff at. At 35, he has done it all, won it all. He had nothing to prove. I guess, like I kind of um reiterate your notion. The more I think about it, the first time you said it, I didn't really deep it, but now I kind of understand that maybe the motivation factor was the thing that kind of slowed Karim down eventually. But Yadu and Farouk, man, Karim Benzema.
I mean, expectations versus reality. It's a real case of age catching up to a player, fitness, and goals just changing. For him, it should have been, it could have been a continuation of last season, Baron Diozema, and we saw flashes of that during the holy month of Ramadan. It was Ramadan Kareem, and we had a fun time with it. But at the end of the day, at the end of the season, it's been good in terms of what the output was. Again, the stats back themselves up. He's been a presence on the field, um, and yeah, it could have been great. It could have been another Ballon d'Or esque season. It just wasn't. So then, somewhere in between all the good players, all the good season that the players had, yeah, it could have been amazing, but it just fell short just a little bit.
Right, Farouk, man, Karim.
Yeah, I mean, I think Karim Benzema actually epitomizes the whole thing about Real Madrid this season. Like their
Mm.
moment of highlights and also their, lows of lows that you can recognize a team. I mean, for example,
Some
we can
games,
talk.
Karim Benzema was non-existent, bro.
I mean, we can talk about some Champions League games where literally, like, I mean, the last one we literally played, like, we were totally non-existent, and we were just there on the pitch and without actually being there. And, like, I mean, you could actually even swear that Benzema wasn't even on the pitch for that game. So that's how it was. So that's the thing. I think, like, he summarizes the whole season for us. It's been a season that promised so much but delivered so little eventually at the end of the day. And when you see what it can be, as Javier says, okay, like, you won 3 trophies, but then Benzema scored 30 goals, but then what? You understand? So
Yeah.
it's all about that. Like, eventually, like, those goals do not translate into anything meaningful eventually, you understand? So it doesn't really but I can understand about what Mo is saying about the whole motivation thing. But I just kind of feel like, as a professional player, I think maybe that might not be too much of a factor. I don't know, honestly. But then, for someone who is won it all, done it all as well, that can also be that, okay, like, what else is there to do? Like, when your primary goal is to go to the World Cup and play at the World Cup, and you can't get there, like, that also destroys everything. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, whatever happened, like, it's Karim's last season with us, and he's done much more than anyone could. I think even his biggest fans, like even the Zidans and the you know could never, and the Julian Laurents could never actually have thought that Benzema is gonna reach the level that he reached right now. So yeah, I mean, it's all good, honestly. Like, it was his final season. It could have been better, but it's not that bad as well. So
Yeah, it's just the City loss is what kind of makes this farewell very 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 bad in my opinion. Like, if the City result didn't happen and it was a more gracious 2-0 loss, I would feel different. But that loss kind of puts a very big dent on his final season. I'm not gonna lie. But XJ here says probably sentimental, but thought Benzema was good. Tough physically and mentally, but he still scored some great goals. Team was better with him in it. Yeah, nobody's going to disagree with that. Team was better with him, 100%. But like you said again, but I guess we had no other striker. Javier, quickly, man, Karim Benzema.
First of all, sorry for the internet computer
It
issues. I
just
don't know what
happens, bro.
I don't know,
No
but
worry.
well, it's harder for me to point out the season of Benzema because I his season was terrible in
Mm.
terms of Benzema. But considering it's the last season of one of the, like Farouk said, one of the best players in the history of Real Madrid, it's hard for me to not put him at least in good. Like I cannot, even for the respect that I have for Ballon d'Or Benzema, I cannot put him in the S tier, Vini tier. So I don't know where you guys put him, but for me, it's probably at top of the good tier.
Good tier for me as well, yeah, man.
Yeah,
A
no
tier
arguments
sounds
there.
right.
A
Mm.
tier.
Yep.
Right, quickly. Moving on to Vinny. S tier.
He has a
I
tier
think
of his
we,
own. He has a tier
yeah,
of his own.
we needn't say much about Vinny. Exceptional, generational, all the adjectives you could name. This man has, stood up to every single challenge that he has faced all season, from racism to, guys with fucking, hacksaws, ready to, chop his, legs off. But Vinny has, overcome a lot this season, has grown up, matured, 100%. Sometimes I couldn't relate with his, temperament. I've been very vocal that he should have uh, felt about it differently and should have dealt with it differently. But what happened at the Mestalla towards the end of the season kind of opened my eyes, and then I felt so much more um, bad about myself. Like probably I was not being, in his shoes. But now that I look back, Vinicius this season was truly something special. And I think there's just one more level, to his game that you need to go up for him to be considered in the same breath as Mbappe and Haaland. But I'm telling you, it is very fucking close. It's just one level below. I'll come to you, Mo,
Sorry,
first. Yeah,
sorry.
go on.
If you guys, I could try at least one more time. I think uh, I'm gonna disconnect and connect again and show the screen.
Okay, go for it. But yeah, man, Mo, quickly.
Yeah,
Vinicius.
about Vinicius. You made a point. You said that he had like he probably has a level to go up, and I think I agree with that sentiment. I probably think that he has like two different things that he needs to improve on. The first thing, is consistency, because there was a period of time in this season where Vinicius struggled with scoring goals. I think there was a period when he went a run of games without scoring in La Liga. So I think that is something that shouldn't happen when you are Real Madrid's main attacking threat. So that is one area he needs to improve upon. And the second thing sort of ties into racism. So I don't really want to go into it too much because fans and public really utilized it to get under Vinicius' skin. But there
You
were
were just
some
getting rattled too much for my liking, man.
yeah, there were some moments when I think Vinicius sort of lost the plot,
Yeah.
and that impacted the team. At the end of the day, Vinicius is this team's attacking leader, especially when Karim is not there, and Karim is not going to be there next season. So I think he needs to realize that when the opponent teams are doing those tricks, trying to get under his skin, they're doing it to destabilize Real Madrid. I remember one game. I think it was the Barcelona first leg at the Bernabeu. Real Madrid were actually playing pretty well, and then he had that altercation. I think with Gavi or somebody. I think it was Gavi or Frenkie. I'm not exactly sure who that was. And his demeanor changed after that. And after that, Real Madrid completely they still played well, but they sort of lost the plot. I think those are issues that Vinicius needs to sort out. But then you also have to understand that some of these issues are born out of the fact that he's getting racist taunts from the crowd. So I sort of understand why he loses it when he does, but he still needs to sometimes, like in games against Barcelona where there was no where racism was not the obvious cause, he needs to sort of get a handle on it sometimes.
Right, quickly, Farouk, Vinicius.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I don't know if you can remember, but when we previewed the season, actually, one thing we discussed with you was how the evolution of Vini is gonna continue, what's he gonna look like, honestly, and he's literally taking the keys to the castle, from Karim Benzema, honestly, I think I don't know whether it was by design or just given the inavailabilities of Karim Benzema this year, that became just by default it had to be Vinicius Junior, but honestly. his growth this season. I really, I'm much more than satisfied with it. And honestly, like, definitely, I think the appears for him to achieve more, honestly. But I personally would, put him in the bracket right now of Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland, honestly. Like, I do believe that if there is a next level for him to go to, even maybe a couple of levels, honestly, because as more rightly point out, that consistency in scoring goals and also, that temperament of his as well, that you guys are both talking about. And it's a bit of a sensitive thing to talk about concerning his temperament and what is and what is not. But more rightly pointed out a good example. I can even give another one, which was against, for example, Villarreal. For example, he was literally picking a fight with the bench. Like with the Pepe Reines and those guys on the bench as well, and actually forgot about the whole game, and you could actually see that he was so ratchet as well. So he has, I don't know, you call it a soft skin or whatever you want to call it, but I mean that just shows you, the level he has gone to. Because the point is, they will only do this to the best players. Like, I mean, no one is looking at Lucas Vasquez and doing this to him, right? So
Nobody's gonna racially abuse Eduardo Camavinga. Nobody, bro.
Man,
I
I,
mean,
I I think that's a big thing to say. That I wouldn't say that because
I mean,
exactly.
in the sense that fucking understand the context, bro. Like, I'm not saying that he's never gonna be racially abused. Just saying that on the level of Vini, nobody's gonna be abused like that. Vini is the main guy, so it's
I mean,
obvious.
Camavinga is also a very disruptive talent as well. So I believe that he might also be a target of that, because the point is that it
No,
doesn't
no, no chance.
it doesn't matter where you disrupt, bro. Don't say no chance, man. Like, I
I
mean,
mean Rudiger was
that
abused, man. You
Daniel
can't really say that.
Alves wasn't as disruptive as Vini was, but what did he face? Like, Alves faced a lot. Like, I mean, it's
Alves was one of the best players in the world. You
Alves
got to
faced that
understand.
when Alves faced that when he was playing for Sevilla, not even Barcelona.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's an age-old story. But then, okay,
exactly.
that's
So
that's not the bone to pick on right now.
exactly.
So
That's a
that's an
whole different
issue.
discussion.
That's a whole different discussion. But yeah, for final thoughts on Vinny and Vinny's season. He's gone from strength to strength. I remember, Farooq, the day that we did the season preview, and even before the World Cup break, you and me were talking again on this podcast, and it was always about what could Vinny do. And I guess the end result is that we've seen him grow into that role where he is the man in Real Madrid. Teams are expected to have a solution to solve the Vinny puzzle, so to speak. They keep throwing defenders at him. They keep throwing players who can cut his runs down, and it's proven to be not a. I mean, it's proven to be something that Vinny has improved upon completely this during the season. It used to be at the beginning of the season that whenever he had a man on him, it used to be just one cutback and then Karim Benzema tip tap toe, and it's a goal. And then teams started figuring that out towards the middle of the season, and then we had to innovate. And then Vini went on more runs, took on more challenges, got hacked down more. We got some free kicks, etc., etc. And so the season went on. But throughout all of that process, I think for me, the story has been how Vini's evolved from just one player, just a young Brazilian winger, into the global superstar that he is right now. And it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses. I hope he gets a Ballon d'Or with Real Madrid, and yeah, that's what I pin my hopes on for the seasons coming up as well. I'm excited to see where Vinny will take us, and that's not a sentence I thought I would say a couple of seasons ago. It's amazing how he's grown. Yeah, it's mad.
And I think you also have to praise him for the way he has taken the societal issue of racism in Spain.
Mhm.
Because a lot of players have been subject to it, but a lot of players haven't taken it to the level that Vinicius has. He has stepped up and made himself, let's say, um, an object of hatred for a lot of people, but he isn't afraid of doing that. He
Yeah.
stepped up and highlighted the issue, and I think that deserves a lot of recommendation. Even beyond football, he's
Mhm.
done something that's going to leave a lasting change. And we've already always known about this about Vinicius because he started schools in Brazil. He encouraged people to go and pursue education because he said not everybody can be a football player like me. So I think Vinicius overall, he's a pretty brilliant guy, and everything he's doing outside the pitch deserves praise, a lot of praise.
This might be a complete PR move, but it's also something that is worth mentioning at this point that Vinny's been made head of Committee Against Racism by FIFA.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
FIFA has founded a committee, and then Vinny's been made a head of it.
Committee of players.
Yeah, committee of players. It might be a complete PR move, but it's also worth mentioning that because of his actions during the season, there has been a lot of light that's been shown on this issue. And yeah, this comes at the end of such a season where it's been tumultuous, where it's been turbulent for most parts for him in his personal journey, but it's also worthwhile. Yeah.
Javier, Vinicius Jr.
I mean, uh, just to quickly sum up this guy, I create this name of the tier with Beanie. In my part, what else can I say? But to round up, yeah, the future is Beanie. The future of this game, the future in our team is Beanie. I hope I have the money next season to have a new number 7 on my pack. I already have number 20 Beanie, but number 7 is, I think, without any doubt, Beanie is the true heir of that number. With everything that it means for this team, that everything that he earns this, the past number 7s, Mariano and Hazard, uh, were completely crumbled. The last
Yeah.
time Ronaldo had to wear number 9 for a season, and then number 7. I think Vini having to wear 28 and then 20 is the right path. The number 7 in Real Madrid is so important that you have to earn it, and Vini completely earns this. And I think it's not far-fetched to say that he's gonna win a Ballon d'Or with that number in our team in the near future. The best is yet to come.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. 100% agree. I got distracted by some text from work, but yeah, man, Vinicius, the way he kind of embraced life at Madrid, and how he took on challenges, and eventually now is the rightful heir to the number 7, the most coveted number on our roster. Speaks for itself, man. This man, like I said earlier, has only one more level to go up to reach the Mbappes and House of this world. And I believe next season is going to be his year. And if he does that, and if we win something big, Ballon d'Or is very, very imminent for Vinicius Junior. Few of the subs, I'm going to leave it to you to decide who should we discuss regarding the substitutes. 100% Asensio. Should we start there? Asensio first?
I mean, we can discuss it, but I don't really think there is too much to discuss. Asensio probably goes into average. I don't really
Average?
think
That's harsh. That's harsh.
I mean, if
It's
he
also
came
the
on,
reality.
he came on the sub, scored a few goals, but if he started, he was pretty bad. So I don't think it's harsh.
He
Top
scores
half of average,
he scores bangers when we needed it again, but also when we didn't need it. I mean, towards the end of the season when it just didn't matter, he's been scoring like beautiful goals. Top of average is completely fair for me.
I don't really put him at top of average. Probably somewhere in the middle or something.
Middle of average?
Yeah, or possibly even lower.
In the average
Even
of
lower?
averages.
You guys will need to imagine, because I don't have the miniature of Asensio. I don't have it.
You don't have the image of Asensio, yeah?
Yeah, you got two
Sorry,
Kama
no.
wingers but 0 Asensio. I think
Yadu,
that's
one job, bro. One job, Yadu. One job.
I thought
Anyway.
I saved it. Anyway.
Right,
You
right.
remember I said something previously. Asensio has a nickname in Spanish called Ausencia, that means absence.
Oh, that's fair.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
he's
pun
there.
actually became true, yeah?
He's there, so you just can't see him.
The pun actually became true, man. Yadu, bro, you have some serious innate talent that you need to, pursue harder.
Yeah.
I must stress. But Asensio aside, who else?
Hazard and Mariano.
Non-factor.
And that's pretty much it.
Hazard and Mariano is the reason.
Vallejo, non-factor. Vallejo, non-factor. Who else? Lunin, non-factor.
I actually
Who else?
Lunin.
Lunin was bad, I think. I wouldn't say who, but he was bad. he was called upon, he had some pretty terrible games.
Yeah, again, beginning of the season was promising. Towards the end, it wasn't at all. I'm
I
thankful to
need to
Vallejo for
I need to
holding
actually
down.
go get something. Yeah, give me a second. I'll be right back. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I actually appreciate Vallejo for holding down the number 5. Now that Jude has it, Jude 5 Bellingham actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, Bellingham 5, that was my bet as well. I think there's obvious Zidane connection, right?
Oh,
There's
100%.
something funny happened today. I said that Jude selected 5 because of Zidane, and everybody started getting angry with me and saying, Jude, he was only 2 or 3 years old when Zidane was playing,
How
so
does
there's
it
no
matter?
way.
How does it
There's no
matter?
way. Yeah, that's the point, right? And it was some Real Madrid fans who actually got angry with me for saying that because they were like, on Reddit, I said, Jude selected it because he was a fan. And they were like, he was only 2 or 3 years old. How the hell is it possible that he supports it? But I think that's something that gets missed out, right? A lot of people go and watch highlights and reruns of old games, and that's how they become fans of people.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
So-
when you're a player of that caliber, you would have seen Zidane's games. You would have tried to emulate it. That's for sure because he wants to be. What does he want to be? A 10, a 4, and an 8. I mean, Zidane's
22.
just yeah, exactly. And he's playing maths with all the football skills as well. He wants to be the next Zidane. He wants to be better than Zidane, but that's up for grabs anyway. Let's see what happens. But yeah, interesting choice, and I appreciate Vallejo for holding down the number 5.
I would prefer the number 22.
But then Rudiger has it, no? I think he's
Yeah, but
keeping it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think number 22 isn't Rudiger's first choice either. I believe last season he said that he preferred the number 2, but Carvajal is not giving up that
Yeah,
number 2.
there's no way Carvajal's giving up. Yeah.
It's going to be a cold day
No,
in
like-
hell when Carvajal gives up that number 2.
Yeah, like cold dead dry from my hands. Yeah. That's the only way Carvajal's letting go of the number 2. Yeah. There was also some chatter in the subreddit just for striker options, Juventus options, but then none of them seem likely. Just rounding off the Mbappé discussion. I said this before in the chat as well. I mean, all the Juve discussions because they want to bring the wage bill down, etc., etc. But it's just not happening with us, is it? And also with the right back discussion, also no realistic end goal in sight. Just to some
I-
rumors here and there, but
I
Yeah.
don't really think Real Madrid is going to sign a right back because I've said this before as well. For Real Madrid to sign right back, 2 people have to leave, and I don't think that's happening. So I don't see it happening. And everybody keeps saying Cancelo, but as long as he's represented by Jorge Mendes, not chance in hell.
yeah.
Right. So we are on Lucas Vasquez. Yeah.
Now we were just having a general discussion.
Did we miss out on anyone outside of the first 11?
No, I don't think so.
Not that I have.
Yeah,
Right,
I got this from the Real Madrid website. So if they don't have it, then I don't have it. Sorry about that.
Right. So the tier is completely done, right, Javier?
We
It's
could
done.
we could just mention Alvaro and get it done with because
I think so. I think you didn't forget. I think you just don't want to mention it. But I put Lucas Vasquez on bad. Lunin, I was having on who, but Jadu and Mo said improve him to bad. And then Odriozola, Vallejo, Mariano, and Hazard is in who. Shout out to Casemiro. I mean, he played 1 game, and he was better than all of who combined.
It's as simple as
I mean, that is a pretty low bar to clear.
100%.
yeah, the bar was so low. Casemiro just walked underneath it. It was crazy.
Yeah. One final hurdle before we kind of wrap this up. Before we do that, Stan says, as for Vinny, he should not be disheartened by a defender who can match him for pace. Like Walker, because he's still skillful enough to beat defenders 1-on-1 without relying on his pace, like Rodrigo does. He also, as I feel like he gave Walker too much respect in the semi-finals because he could match him for pace. I believe this is a little blemish on his otherwise indestructible armor. That's a very good insight, like I never thought of it that way. Stanise also says
Vinicius had issues with Araujo as well initially, but later he figured out. So I think if Walker had been younger and he had been that big colossus for Vinicius to go against, I think given time he would have figured it out. But Walker might not be at City next season. So I don't really
Yeah,
know what happens.
yeah, that's some big news coming out of Stockport. I'm not gonna lie. Shaneska says both Carlo and Raul misused Alvaro, as he'll be selected for the first team when there is a Castilla game and not be used, and he'll be sometimes be with Castilla when Benzema was injured and not play there too. It's just shit management, in my opinion.
It's
No, man, I
the
don't really know how you can say Raul misused him. Raul pretty much plucked him out of nowhere and
exactly.
put him on the street.
Yeah,
I don't really
yeah.
see how anybody says that.
And
No,
imagine
but
starting for Real Madrid from Castilla. It's a you think of it as a linear path, but it's a big fucking jump. You have
yeah.
you have to take your chances when you get it, and the potential that you might get a chance is too big to miss on. So
Mm.
yeah, he was unlucky with timing, yes, but should he have taken the chances? 100% yes.
He definitely left a lasting impression that I think is gonna only make his stock so come next season. And I'm pretty sure if worst comes to the worst, like he'll get a shout, and he'll get a chance again to prove himself with us, which I think will go better than this season. He'll have a much better season next year. But finally, Don Carlo Farouk, you're a first.
Well, I mean, this is what Don Carlo does. Like, there's nothing new. Like, he's done what I expected him to do. So I'll just give him a good season for him. So that's just it.
Oh my God! After all that, good season, yeah.
I mean, this is what he does. Like, there is nothing new. It just didn't work out. This is what he does. Like, he did the same thing last season, and it works. And this season, it doesn't work. So like, there is nothing different. Like, it's the same recipe. Unfortunately, just a different dish came out.
He
Fair
he
enough.
did adjust the heat, and it burned the dish.
Fair enough.
I'm sorry. You said
I said he did adjust the heat, so the dish got burnt.
maybe that. Or he used expired condiments. That's also possible. As well.
All that fucking ammo you used up on Carlo throughout the season to give him a good Farouk, you are doing yourself a disservice.
But
No,
that's just the thing. That's
I
the
agree.
whole thing. Like
I
this is
agree
what
with
he
Farouk.
does. He can actually win with this, and he has won with this, and he will continue to win with this. But is this something I want to happen to my team? Definitely, 100% no.
I agree with Farouk when he says he did the best he could with the condiments that were probably expired, because a lot of, I think the management did not build a good team for him. There were a lot of glaring holes.
Well, I kind of understand both your viewpoints, which is kind of intertwined. But Javier and Yatu, welcome to Javier first. Don Carlo.
I mean, as much as I would like to point that out that Carlo is probably outpast his best years. Come on, if you watch the tier list and you watch that we select almost more players in average or below, and we already have like 4 to 5 players in whose category. That goes to show that what else? We only have 2 players in top tier. Like 2. We cannot. I mean, we can point out some issues here and there with Carleto, but we already said at the end of the last season this team need to improve, and didn't improve in the categories that we need. We know that we need a striker last year, and this year we need 2. So you need goals, and Karim had a terrible season here. I mean, good for me is fair. Good season for me is fair.
Yadu.
Yeah, I mean, just to round it up, I don't think it's a good season. Just all things considered, he knows what he is up against. It's not his first time managing Madrid, is it? He knows the stakes. He knows how it works. He knows the pressure that he's under. He also knows the players, and he's been pretty inflexible, which is a trademark of Carlo teams. We did not have options coming in. We did not utilize our substitutes as much as we could have. In a season where it's changed up to 5 substitutes, and we decided to stick on with tired legs all the way up until 95th
Very
minute.
good point.
It's average. He's sticking to what he knows, and I mean, should you teach an old dog new tricks, new dog old tricks? I have no idea, But for me, just speaking as to his capabilities, as to his none of that is up to any question. But his performance this season for me has been bang average. There were times that I wished he could have done better, that he could have made the team decision better, that he could have made the substitutes at an earlier time, had some impact maybe with Castilla. Uh, it's the inflexibility of it all that worries me, and that's the reason I'm saying it's an average season.
Saliba agrees with you, man. He says that Cruz CDM against City gave me PTSD. Not gonna lie. There you go. Cruz as a six is one of the biggest, shams that Carlo had. I don't understand what his thought process is. Probably distribution, blah blah blah. But Carlo, in my opinion, I'm one of his biggest defenders. Like me and Farouk always have this sword fight every time his name comes up. But like what Yedo said, on so many occasions, the way we set up, even though I want to support the guy, what I see on the pitch clearly demoralizes the fan in me. It clearly makes me hover in a corner where this crest and this camiseta should be empowering us to be fully chest out, squaring up against any fucking team in the world. But even in big games, especially against City, man, it was just shambolic the way we set up, how cowardly we were. A man of his experience, of his expertise, both as a player and as a coach, like I couldn't just believe it. And also the countless La Liga games that he threw away. Honestly, like if it was any other manager, I'm telling you, if it was someone not named Mourinho in his prime, Zidane in his prime, Carlo, he would have gotten so much more stick, and people would have already had his head on a fucking spear. But since it's Carlo, like people kind of understand, and also you can't look past the very fact that he asked for signings and the club basically didn't make it happen. But like what Diado said, Carlo has a very clear idea of how we operate and how we sometimes don't necessarily buy players for managers, because not everyone can align with what the board has in mind as a transfer wish list, if I may say. So last year was something of an anomaly. Like even the diehard Carlo fan and me would agree that so many things fell into place. Kareem having a brilliant season, us managing injuries pretty well, Vinicius is proper emergence, Thibaut having a blinder, Alaba completely staying fit, Mendy staying fit for most parts of the season. Um, but this year, when a couple of things didn't really go exactly to plan, Carlo was found out, and it was very bad. Was very bad. I'm telling you, like even when after he retires, that 4-0 loss against City will be questioned, bro, and it won't be fun conversations.
Nah, man,
It'll
no
be
one
definitely.
remembers that, man. No
I
one
don't
remembers
agree.
that, man. No one
I'm
remembers
telling
Redmond
you.
that,
has
I'm
man.
telling
four
you. I'm
Champions
telling you.
League.
No
I
one
know.
remembers
I
that,
know.
Five
man.
I
Champions
know,
League
I know, I know
titles.
for a fact. I know for a fact. See, it's not like he's going to be asked about in press conferences or on an interview. Oh, how did that loss feel? But I'm telling you, people close to him, even himself, in some sort of a retrospective way, he might think, I could have done better. I could have done better, because City didn't really have to get out of first gear that game. Like that just goes to show, man. Like he could have at least pushed City to try a bit more. But that's just me, man. That's just me. XJ says management failed Carlo for sure, but he still didn't cook with what he did have. I think too stubborn, average. Yeah, that's just my opinion as well. Me and Yadu go with average. Farouk said good. Javier said good. Okay, bro.
Uh, I am torn actually between the two of you guys. I
Mm.
agreed with Farouk when he said that he did the best with what he could, and
Mm.
I sort of that's my line of thinking as well, because I think the team was pretty bad, like pretty badly built, because there was no backup to Karim Benzema, there was no alternative ideas for Ancelotti go to. He had to shoe on Rodrigo to play the Benzema role because that's the best he could expect him to do. So yeah, for me, I think he sort of did the best he could. I disagree with you when you say that the City 4-0 game is going to define, like, it's going to be.
Not going to define, bro, but it's going to be
No, let me
a
just complete.
thorn.
Define is probably not the right word. Yeah, let's say thorn. I don't really think anybody's going to remember in the larger scheme of his career. This season, I think he was pretty much hampered by injuries to key players. Alaba was missing for a large chunk. Benzema was missing, and when Benzema is missing, Real Madrid is in the same team because Benzema is essentially the system. As much as I rate Vinicius and Courtois to be, brilliant players. So overall, I don't know. Javier created a special tier for Cruz. I will probably place him there in between average and good. So probably that's my
I
verdict.
was thinking too.
So Carlo and Tony gets a tier for themselves.
Yeah, the Don category.
I don't know. After that season, I'm not so sure, bro.
But the season,
yeah.
Sonny,
Mm.
okay, you remember the 4-0 against City, right? Why don't remember the 4-0 against Barca in their stadium a few weeks earlier? He was also Carleto, You can win a game by 4 or lose a game by 4. It's not the final of your whole career or your whole detriment.
No. I'm see, bro. That's not the way, bro. Like, I defended him on so many occasions. Like, you guys are having recency bias as well. How many times have I, stood up for Carlo against Farouk? Like, it just, for me,
man, we're not talking about you. We're talking about the arguments, right? And we disagree with the argument that this thing is going to haunt Ancelotti. That's the only thing. We're not attacking. Like,
it's just my personal opinion. I'm not saying people are gonna.
That's fine. It's just this opinion we disagree with. Apart from that, yeah, what you have said is fair.
Tas Aliba says, imagine his son bantering him for the loss. Yeah, that's what I mean. Tas understands it. Like, it's not like people are gonna, skin him for that. But I'm just saying he would have that spite against City for that. Anyway, it was the season to forget.
I
for
mean,
large parts, man.
the man lost a Champions League final from 3 goals down. So I mean, if you're
but that's something you can commend Liverpool for. The way they showed spirit.
And then
against all odds.
You should be commending City for the way they played against us.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's anything to banter, that's what you banter about. Like, I mean, that's on
against City. We didn't even.
Bro, you see that
play.
Liverpool team? There's a guy
also
Liverpool were also runs. I understand.
In the large scheme of things, if in the global community of managers there's a WhatsApp chat and Pep decides to banter Carlo, I'm pretty sure Carlo has like tons of other games to banter Pep for. So it's okay.
100%. The 4-0 he inflicted, upon Pep Guardiola in 2014 is a good place to start.
And we just snatched City out of the Champions League last season, which was absolutely fantastic. Top class cinema.
Whose mic is echoing?
It's not mine.
It's probably mine. That my headphones died, and it's my usual.
That's probably the signal.
Right. Please mute your mic, Javier. Like, if there's an echo issue, yeah. Like, we're gonna quickly wrap this up. Tas Aliba says, serious talk now. I think people will remember that he hasn't defended his title rather than the 4-0 loss. I don't know.
I mean, that's a pretty valid argument because I think that's a stick that a lot of people already use Ancelotti to beat with because
his league.
He's only won one league with every team. As much as we say that he's won all the leagues, he's only won all the leagues once. So I think that's a big issue.
I think it's also his consistent team selection, isn't it? I mean, you play a team that long, you can't expect to win the league with it.
Yeah, I think his selections help in the cups, but when it comes to the league, he struggles a little bit. And then I think more than Ancelotti, this stick is going to be used against Real Madrid because we haven't defended league title in I don't know. Probably 2007 and 8 was the last time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we haven't defended title since then. So
Stan asks a very valid question. Does the management's lack of support for Carlo on the market count in his assessment?
Yeah, for me it does because I think the management messed up.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the whole base of the argument, right? He's doing the best he can with what he has.
Mm,
So
that's
that's, I
fair.
mean, other than that, obviously it's a garbage season. Obviously, he's going to be who if we're just evaluating what he has done without considering what he has at his disposition.
But I somewhat understand the way the management is looking at this, because as fans we are just looking at it from day to day and from season to season. For us, this analysis is about one season, but for the management it's about building a team for the next 10 years, because they built a team for the next like 10 years before, and now it's time to start a new cycle. So that transition, that management is what they're looking for, and I think they're trying to pick up players available at the right moments in time. So that is something that they want to do. For Florentino, it's the question of leaving a legacy when he retired, like when he leaves the presidency. So I think that's the direction they're looking from, and as fans, we're looking from season to season. So probably our assessments are different, and probably we are a bit harsh on the management. But overall, for Ancelotti, I think it definitely has to count. He wasn't given the proper tools to build around.
Actually, I totally get that point, but my problem is the fact that is the club gonna get all the right players and everything and hand the keys over to Carlo to continue with this? This is the question that
No, that's the
hope.
point, right? Why did they bring Ancelotti? They brought in Ancelotti because they thought he knew the club. He could be a decent player to help these players ride out into the sunset, and then he'll be done. They handed him a 3-year mandate. If you guys watch the documentary that Real Madrid released recently, that's where Florentino, he comes out and he says, like, we won the Champions League without even trying to win the Champions League. So that's where the club is. I think they'll happily take a victory in the Champions League out of 3 seasons. They'll happily take the fact that Ancelotti is taking the team to the semi-finals. And the idea is to build after Ancelotti is gone, to leave all the tools in place.
I mean, if that's the plan, we can, continue for 1-2 years of garbage. No, it's not a problem. We can just
That's
hold our
a
Chelsea.
valid point. Yeah, Farouk, like you never swayed away from your stance on the whole Carlo appointment, and
I guess
this
the last talking point there is, what do you think about the Brazil rumors and how Carlos handled it? I think it's with grace, because he's kept it to himself. Whatever his decision is, what happens in the future, we don't know yet. I think even Carlo doesn't know at this point.
I know one thing for sure. Farouk might pay for his taxi cab to go to the airport if he wants to leave to Brazil.
it's not even paying for his taxi. He'll ride, Carlo himself.
I mean,
It's as simple as that.
how much does the ticket cost to Rio, man? Like whatever the cost, send the invoice. Send the invoice.
But
I'll be hungry for 1 month and I can pay his shit. It's not a problem.
I'll just say this thing, that if Ancelotti leaves, given the noises that he's been making, if Ancelotti leaves, because he's been saying, I'll stay. So if Ancelotti leaves at this point, I'll be pretty worried, because I think that would be a sign that the team is not seriously considering bringing a striker. And, that would be my worry if he leaves at this point.
I see your point. I see.
He won't leave at this point. No chance, man. No chance. Next year.
If he's being told there's not going to be a striker and he's going to continue the whole season with Rodrigo, I think he might probably consider leaving.
Nah, that won't be the case, man. We are not fucking.
See, that's the point I'm saying. If
Wake up.
Ancelotti leaves, I would be worried that is the case. I don't expect it to be the case, but if Ancelotti leaves, that is something that I might start giving.
I've seen my club for long enough to know that they're never going into a season with Joselu as the striking, sole striking option.
But I've been around when Real Madrid brought in Julian Forward as the backup.
Bro, that was in 2006. The landscape.
I'm just telling you, expect the unexpected.
The landscape has completely changed.
They have a plan, man. You can't really rely on. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just saying
I hope that's not the case. Honestly, that'll be such a step backward that I can't even begin to break that down. But yeah, over 2.5 hours in.
I've always stressed on this fact that Kylian Mbappé is a long-term plan for Florentino, right? If he brings in Kane, that's going to impact the ability to bring in Kylian Mbappé next season. So he might well not bring a striker this season. You shouldn't just discount it.
At least a stopgap option that is cheaper than Kane should do the job. Someone better than Joselu.
That is Joselu. They're going to point.
Farooq, are you listening to these guys? Only one we have, yeah? Real fucking Madrid, bro. Joselu is the only option. We should look for
Bro,
someone
I
that is
mean,
in the range of 30 to
yo,
40 million. That's it.
Sunaid,
That's it.
if the club is bringing in Joselu, we might just switch off the TV and just fast forward to next season and go to the season after that. Man.
I'm gonna just
There's no
delete the
need to
fucking
flop.
channel. If
I
we
mean-
are starting with Joselu as the sole striker, for the season.
It will be easier
What's the
for
point?
us to change the positions. Don't bring a number 9 that is not as good as the level that requires to be a Real Madrid player, and play with 5 midfielders. Invent and then try to play with Vini and Rodrigo. That would
Like
make
what City
a
did,
little
yeah?
bit-
Do you think that we can survive doing that?
No, of course not.
3-5-2, yeah.
If you ask me, bring someone. Joselu is supposed to be the substitution of Mariano, so the bar is very low. If you want to bring the substitution of Benzema, and you can say to me, okay, it's Rodrigo, I will say, okay, in terms of level, yes. In terms of what they bring to the game, no. So why don't you, if we have like 7 or 8 midfielders, play 6 of them? Who the fuck cares? You're gonna lose La Liga anyway. So if we don't bring a striker, we're gonna lose La Liga anyway. We can compete in every single other tournament because there are short tournaments, but La Liga, no way.
I mean, you didn't
For me
compete
personally,
with
I
Benzema. How
wouldn't
will you compete without a striker?
I mean, personally, I wouldn't be surprised if Mbappe doesn't come. Nobody comes for a striker position. I wouldn't be surprised.
As in, he
Not
doesn't
ready for it.
want to be the striker.
No. If Mbappe doesn't come, I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised if you do not sign another player.
And then 2024, Kylian Mbappe signs a new 2+1 deal in Paris. And now his mother is
Man,
the CEO,
don't
his
blame.
father is the
Don't ask
president,
me
and
that.
his
Okay,
uncle
go
is
and
the-
ask Florentino
Yeah.
that.
I mean, he will own PSG at that point. I think
Exactly.
he already does now.
But then it will be official. His father will be the official CEO, and his mother will be the vice president.
Yeah. A couple of years later, he'll own Ligue 1, and then a couple of years later, he'll combine it with La Liga and make a whole new team.
Bro,
And then
Imagine
he'll be in Real Madrid.
what are you talking about? After 2 more years, he'll become the mayor of Paris. Before you know it, he has a portion in Ligue 1 Uber Eats or
Imagine.
something like that.
Imagine. Okay, Kylian Mbappe being mayor of Paris, owning PSG.
I don't know about mayor of Paris, but I'm pretty sure he would be the emir.
No,
of
wait.
Paris.
Hear me out. Yeah, so
and then
mayor
buying.
of Paris, buying PSG, CEO of PSG, blah blah blah, getting knocked out round of 16 like usual, and then you see the Uber Eats ad with Kylian Mbappe. Imagine that. That'll be peak. That'll
He
be
wouldn't
peak,
do
bro.
Uber Eats ad, man. He controls his image rights.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
No
But
more,
Liga,
no more
Uber on
Eats.
Liga, right?
So
No?
he controls his image rights. He doesn't have to be there.
So it will be Mbappe Ligue 1. No more
I
Uber
don't know at
Eats.
this point. I don't know at this point, honestly.
Yeah.
I hope
but
he does
the
come.
fact that he controls PSG is not very far from the truth. The
Yeah.
guy who controls the communication for PSG was somebody who was recommended by Kylian Mbappe. Sporting director of PSG, Luis Campos, is there because of Kylian Mbappe.
Yeah, and he's
Kylian Mbappe's mother
also
is going-
starting some.
his mother is starting a sporting agency.
Yeah, there you go.
And
An agency,
the guy who's their first client is Ryan Cherky, and he was PSG's primary target in the winter.
Yep.
And Hakim
the
is probably
second one
gonna
is
say-
Hakimi. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Hakim is probably going to sign with them as well. So,
Mhm.
and then Kylian Mbappe is building his own documentary or whatever next season.
Exactly. He's making money moves, man. Gotta respect the hustle.
He's young, bro. He's young. He has more ambition than you and me. You got to respect that.
Yeah.
I don't know about I don't know about the guys who don't follow NBA, but I think Farouk and Javier do. These moves he's making, don't they remind you of like LeBron James, the stuff? he did,
LeBron James, exactly. The decision thing, right? When he was like, okay,
Yeah,
we're
and
going,
then
and
with
we're going.
with clutch and everything, his documentary.
LeBron James is an egomaniac.
Yeah.
Even Jordan. Even Jordan.
Whoa,
Even Jordan.
he's
I
the
mean,
definition of egomania.
I think
But
if
when
you
you're
guys
that
don't know,
good,
like for people who don't know, LeBron literally pioneered the player power movement in NBA. He took the power from the teams and transferred it to the
Yeah.
players. And I think Kylian Mbappe is trying to do that. So
Like LeBron is the first true player that you can see was bigger than a team. Even like Jordan wasn't that, because actually Jordan was like a person who like does his own thing and moves in his own
That's
groove.
true,
You understand?
that's
As long
true,
as
yeah.
as long as he got what he won, like I mean, Jordan was the guy with the sneakers and all that, but he wasn't the person like that was gonna like go and okay, like yeah, this is what's gonna happen and this is how it's gonna work and stuff like that. But like James is like a whole. I mean, even you can see even like the Lakers where he plays right now, like literally he brought his whole people there. Like he literally sold the future of the Lakers to get Anthony Davis to come and play with him. You know, although he's won a title, so it's it is what it is, anyways.
Yeah,
People
that's a great
if
point.
LeBron says today that he doesn't want to play, the league will stop literally.
Definitely, like I mean,
He is that big, yeah. Oof,
That
bro.
was-
But actually,
but
then, why I
another
think
thing
that
that
might not be
Farouk said-
possible in football is that because like I think NBA is I don't know maybe because we've seen after what James has done, but like it's a 5-player team. Like it's not like the football where it's like 11-player team. Like and I think because in basketball, honestly, one player can make a huge difference. Like one player can. I mean, as we've seen with James as well. Like when he played for the Cavs, like the Cavs were like garbage. Before James came, like the Cavs were like lottery picks. Like they were like at the bottom of the stuff. And when James came back, and all of a sudden they went to I think 6 straight finals or something like that. So it's honestly one good player actually has.
But you
a
know,
lot of,
even it goes beyond the sporting aspect, right? He controls the league because he pioneered the player power movement. That's why people respect him, and I think that's what Kylian Mbappé is trying to do as well. You know, get people to respect him by pioneering these movements because he's already.
but I think
gone
for
against-
Mbappe, it's weird, man. Honestly, I don't know. I just feel I don't know. I feel like the way he's
he's
going
going
about
against
it.
the French national team. He's going against his club. He'll probably go against the league. He'll probably go against like he pitted the two biggest, like two of the biggest clubs in the world against each other to get the
against
highest.
each other.
Yeah. So
I can't believe Cristiano was a much better guy to deal with. I couldn't relate to Cristiano's diva nature when I was growing up. But looking at Mbappe, bro, Cristiano was tame, super tame, super fucking tame. I can't
But
believe
I
that
mean,
I'm saying that.
I think that's the thing, like for right now, the generation is totally changing that in the sense that you can feel like, they feel that they can get because for example, most likely when Cristiano was growing up, like the social media thing wasn't, a big deal. But right
Yeah.
now, like, like this is the era of, like how can I say like I don't know, the transformation era, this old digitalization era. So I feel like Kylian Mbappe is, using that to the fullest maximum possible. And honestly, right now, I don't know what Ronaldo made from his image rights, but I'm sure that Kylian Mbappe can make much more than Cristiano has done, honestly, because of what the digitalization looks like right now. So those are things that I think are just there to consider as well. I don't know.
If he concentrates on that part of the thing, he might as well forget, getting Ballon d'Ors and being mentioned in the same breath as, Messi and Cristiano.
I don't think
MVP.
so. I think Mbappe is too good of a talent to eventually, go because that's the thing. Like James is still considered like one of the best players in the not even one of the he's considered as the best player to ever play basketball. You understand? Because he's that good. You understand? So I think it's similar for Kylian Mbappe as well. He's that good that even if he keeps saying because it comes to him so naturally, man. Do you see Mbappe play? It's like he doesn't even care, but he still plays. That's the thing. Like it comes to him so naturally, without any effort.
this is the sign of somebody who watches PSG regularly. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, that's confidential
That's
information.
some serious allegations. Yeah, that's never leaving this podcast episode, man.
Oh, you haven't been here, a couple of years ago. There was much more severe allegations. Kids were
You are-
burnt, houses were robbed.
Let's get that on live TV. Have you raised my name or Jason, man? You're gonna send me a name or Jason.
Neymar jersey. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves, man, honestly. If it was the Brazil jersey, I would understand. But PSG, fuck PSG, man.
Man,
Anyway.
it's Jordans. It's Jordans. Jordans is the brand, man.
Oh, you. Okay, so you get coerced by Jordans, yeah? Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's
I
the brand.
mean,
That's
it's
the
obvious,
whole
is it?
idea of the PSG. You team up with Jay-Z and you team up with the MJs. You team up with all these superstars. You go to the fashion, what they call it, Paris fashion, whatever week. You
Capital.
dye your hair blonde and
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's the
all those-
Mbappé Fashion Week in a couple of
Exactly.
years, Farouk. Just look out for the thing. Yeah. Anyway, back
Right.
to the matter at hand and just wrapping everything up.
Yes.
You'll find a
Standard
tier
say-
list. You'll find a tier list on the site, and it will be on our socials everywhere. If you disagree with anything, again,
Please send it to me, yeah, Javier, yeah, to whoever, yeah. Just send it to me so that I can post it on stories right after.
yeah, we
right?
can just save it as an image, so it's all good. Yeah, Javier will save it as an image and put it in the group.
Yeah, just do that so that I can let the people know what we came up with. So Javier, I'll leave it up to you. Mbappe. Oh yeah, one quick comment. Yes, Sanase says over here, Mbappe is Jay-Z, guys, not Nas. I hope you understand. Yeah, there's a big difference because Nas was a much more humble guy who had pure talent rather than Jay-Z, in my opinion. Like Jay-Z is obviously one of the GOATs. Like he is up there with the best ever, but he has a little more, I don't know, something to hate, or something to dislike. I don't know how to put it. So, dislike or hate is a strong word.
Jay-Z has
You
that
get the gist.
shrewdness to elevate himself.
Yeah, basically
the
that.
others
A
don't.
little bit of crookedness, right?
Yeah, shrewdness.
Yeah, shrewdness. Yeah. There you go. So over to you, Javier, to read out our final tier list, so that the guys listening on the audio, they can kind of recap.
Yeah, if you guys will agree with me, in terms of relevancy, I will start with the bottom.
Okay.
Worst player in the 2022-2023 squad is by far Eden Hazard.
No
Moving
argument.
on.
No argument.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I think
Doris.
I think even Tony Cruz agrees with you on that one. So please continue.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have
And moving-
violated man like that, honestly, bro.
See, this is what I'm telling you. He's the regular man. He's the podcast guy, man. Yeah, I appreciate him.
Yeah, moving on. Sorry, Doris. Moving on. Next worst player is Mariano.
But yeah, where is Ashik? Where is Ashik when we need him?
Best
Where is
best
Ashik, man?
best hairline though. Best
Best
haircut
hair,
award.
probably.
Yeah.
Best hair, probably. And then
I don't know
moving,
best, but it was definitely revolutionary. Nobody has ever seen.
moving
Cancel
on.
call
We have
door.
Jesus Vallejo.
Vallejo.
Moving
Harsh.
on.
Poor guy.
Odriozola.
Warranted.
Lunin.
Unfortunate.
Or Lucas Vasquez.
I love the guy. Lucas Vazquez.
Then Ferland Mendy.
Yeah, this season has been bad.
Parlamendi is in what category? You should read out the tire as well. Javier.
Oh, sorry. Hazard, Mariano, Vallejo, and Odriozola are in the who tier category.
Is the lowest
Lunin,
tier? Z tier.
lowest tier. Lunin, Lucas Vasquez, and Ferland Mendy were in the bad category, so C tier. Then moving on to average, we have Carvajal, Dani Ceballos, Tony Rudiger, David Alaba, Nacho, Aurelien Tchouameni, Fede Valverde. Those
Average
guys,
tier has the most number of players, yeah?
yeah, it was
As it should be. As it should be.
an average season for an average players. Then moving on to the special category, we have Carleto Ancelotti and Tony Kroos. Not bad enough to be average, not good enough to be good.
Okay, that's
Moving
the
on
perfect
to
way
the-
to put it. Can you repeat that for me, Javier, so that the people listen to it loud and clear? Tony Cruz and Carlo, what category do they belong to?
Not good enough to be in good category, not bad enough to be in average.
Vamos. Okay, perfect.
Then moving on to the good season, the good category. I mean, I have a doubt in two of them because they were when my internet went down, but I have Militao, Luka Modric, Eduardo Camavinga, Rodrigo Goes, and Karim Benzema.
And
True.
good, yeah?
Okay,
A tier. Right.
8 here. And then moving on to the creme de la creme, top of the tier, the best players in Real Madrid squad by far. I have Thibaut Courtois, and the best player of the season is without any doubt Vinicius Jr.
One final question. Bravo. Yeah, big up Javier. One final question to the entire panel. Young player of the season. Let's go.
What is
Young is below 24, yeah?
below 24?
Or 23.
21,
you could-
isn't it?
21? Really?
Yeah, I mean
Is it 21?
that's when you say, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if
so-
it's below 24, you have to say
Only
Vinicius
Ronaldo,
is
I
the
think.
best player.
The whole reason I said below 24 is to make this more of a conversation. If it's under 21, how many players do we have under 21?
I mean, Camavinga is the obvious choice, right?
It's only one
He's
guy.
the
So
only choice. There's no other choice.
I think
I mean,
so.
if you so the point
How
is, if you
about
actually say
Vini?
below 24,
Sorry,
so
Rodrigo could
only
be.
Vini is there.
Yeah, if you make it under 24, it's obviously going to be Vinicius. You know, if you say Vinicius is the best player, and then you create a young player of the year award and don't give it to him, it will be like kind of like farcical. So
fair enough. So it's Kamavinga, yeah? Undisputed.
yeah, under 21, sure.
I mean, there is no competition, so
Who's the surprise of the year? Who's the biggest surprise for you guys?
I gotta
surprise
think.
of the year.
Oh, that's a good
Surprise
question. I
of
was
the
surprised by the question. Huh.
Perhaps for me, it would be.
Okay, let's make it this way. Good
Mendy,
surprise, bad
Mendy
surprise.
maybe.
Good
Is it,
surprise
is
and
it a
bad
good surprise or a bad surprise?
Both. Give me a good surprise and a bad surprise.
Oh, good
For me, a
surprise.
bad surprise will be Mendy.
Oh, a good surprise is Kamavinga LB. I'm still
Good surprise,
surprised.
Kamavinga. Bad surprise, Modric.
Bad surprise, Mendy.
Yeah, Mendy could be there. He could even be Benzema because we had a lot of expectations from him. And then,
Also true. Yeah, but then again, when it's the left
like
back,
half
that
the
is.
squad is in bed surprise.
Oh no, yeah, it's a perfect reflection. No, I'm actually quite happy with my left back selection. So that's I have my good surprise there and my bad surprise there. So that's it matches. It's symmetric. It's beautiful.
And what do you guys think about like who was the best transfer? Probably we signed like 2 players, right?
So far.
Tchouameni, Rudiger, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean from last season? Yeah.
Last season.
Tchouameni rates higher than Rudiger for me.
Yeah, it's easy. Easy.
There is
Farouk,
no
what about
such thing
you?
as
Not
best
sure.
transfer.
I'm not sure because
There is
Tchouameni
no
was.
such- Yeah, go on, Javier.
So if we consider the price tag and the expected, because Rudiger wasn't supposed to be a starter, was supposed to be number 3 or number 4 even in the center back position. Tchouameni was supposed to replace Casemiro. So for me, in terms of a transfer, it was
Okay, I'll
very
just say this. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'll just say this that Tchouameni was supposed to back up Casemiro. I don't think it was a plan to sell Casemiro as soon as Tchouameni comes, right?
well.
It was supposed to be an
probably-
understudy.
Probably in the first few seasons, but if you have your opportunity, you have to take it.
I think it happened like after the first 3 games where Casemiro kind of saw that he would have to fight for his place, and there's also a good enough offer on the table. It's not a vacation as the English media would have you say, but it's also, I would say, easier in terms of transferring out than staying and fighting for the place. He was meant to be an understudy, but I feel like he was too good to just be an understudy. Correct me if if you feel different.
And then Casemiro was the best signing for Man U.
Oh, by a mile. Like who else paid out for them? It's crazy. Anyway,
Saliba quickly asks one last question. What do you guys think of Kulusevski at right wing? Is he actually 30 million? That's it? Is he that cheap?
that's because Tottenham. No, that's because Tottenham had an existing deal, and then they're getting it for cheap because Juventus are forced to reduce the price. Because
So he's going to Spurs for 30 million. That's like decided.
that's the only, as in Spurs are negotiating so that they don't have to pay higher, and that's the option that's on the table for them.
So he was
Spurs
on
have
loan.
put in this offer, right? They haven't haven't had a bid accepted.
No.
No, actually,
They've
so the
submitted.
thing is this actually.
They've submitted.
Based on my knowledge, Kulusevski was for 35 plus 10. 10 million euros for the, what's it called, for a loan fee, and 35 million euros was a buy option. So if Spurs has the first option, if they match 35 million, they get Kulusevski. But Spurs being Spurs, they're trying to negotiate the fee lower. So the thing is that they have the first option. If any team
just
offers
for
35
pennies,
million
man.
or above, Spurs has the option to match that offer. That's just the thing. But like it said at that 5 million, actually, this is what I
But
know. So like
honestly,
Spurs
personally, I
are
wouldn't pay
trying to make
35 million for Kulusevski. Sorry.
You
Oh,
would or you wouldn't?
I wouldn't.
the
Yeah.
big shot, bro. He has had a last. I think he has had a bad last 3 months or so. But before that, he was
I
exceptional.
think even at his best, he's not going to be able to bring. He wasn't able to make it at Juventus. So the level we aspire to be isn't what Kulusevski can take us.
I don't know. Like he seems to be a good player. I don't know. Maybe I need to watch him more. But whenever I see him, like he seems to make some sort of a difference. Maybe the bar at Tottenham is super low. Son has been fucking shambolic. So I guess you stand out. But right. I guess it is time to call this a wrap, people. 3 hours. We didn't do a show for a week, and boom, we are back with 3 hours worth of content. Hope you guys found it engaging. We had a few technical hiccups, to which obviously I lose it from time to time, but it's just quite normal. We don't expect to happen. We don't expect these things to happen, but it just happens. So apologies for any technical hiccups we faced throughout the stream.
Also,
yeah.
a quick something that I wanted to put out into the internet is if you are a Real Madrid fan who is into clipping, shipping, and making shorts, just let us know. Reach out to us because we're looking for people who do that. Take clips from our regular shows, make it into clickbaity content, and spread it out on the internet. If you are good at that, just write to us. Let's see what we can do. All right,
Right.
go on.
Yeah, clickbaity content. We don't advocate for that. And let's be real, podcast.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know
just
what I
joking,
mean.
but yeah, like we are looking for editors. Obviously, like we have been looking for video editors for a while now. It is a thankless job. It requires a lot of investment, time wise. We're not yet in a position to pay salaries yet, but we're looking for people who can help out. So yeah, like Yado said, any help is appreciated. At least for the short immediate future. But big up all our listeners on audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. We are over 25K plays. It's been a super humbling journey, all throughout these 2.5 years. So big up all of you guys, who sent in messages, feedback, follow us on our socials. Yeah, man. We also conduct regular polls from the smallest of matters to the deal breakers. So yeah, just get involved in and keep supporting us, man. Like any bit of feedback, any show of love is a huge deal for us because we have to juggle a lot of things to actually make this happen. We are from different parts of the globe and whatnot. So, and also, since it's kind of the end of the season, we're going to be taking a short hiatus. I'll try my best to do something. If something concrete happens regarding Mbappe or something, we have something planned with Dobbs. Hopefully early July, if the Kane rumors are still up and about. It'll be an absolute pleasure to have him on the show as well. Yeah, man. The summer has kicked off in a nice way. Bellingham in the house already. Brahim Diaz, Fran Garcia. Hopefully, someone like Kane or Mbappe to kind of seal the deal. But yeah, man, exciting times ahead for sure. That Benzema heartbreak didn't last long, so I'm very happy. Couple of comments before we go. Tas Aliba says, "Great show. Good night, guys. Good night, Tas. Back after a long time. Nice to see you, bro." Stan says, "Mo makes a lot of unsubstantiated assertions." What does that mean?
Could reply. So Mo just left before he had to reply to that comment. So Mo's safe.
Matthew. Big up yourself, man. Long time subscriber. Long ass episode. Good stuff. Sam says, "Good shows, guys. You should do reaction videos for major news." I mean, that's something we are definitely going to explore. It's basically time constraints, my friend, that that kind
It's
of,
on the horizon. It's on the horizon, Stan. Hopefully, we get it done. Hopefully, we get it done.
soon. Hopefully soon. But yeah, on that note, on to, bigger, better, brighter days, on to a better season overall. A la Madrid.
A la Madrid, lads.
Madrid.
See you in a bit.